this Care of Collection Group Environmental Monitoring Trade Fair. We had discussed potentially having this as an in-person event, but decided that we would have a greater reach if we did it virtually. So we're very pleased to welcome you all to our Zoom webinar this morning. Now, we had long discussions about how to show that we were being very impartial, and so we've come up with an impartiality statement, and I don't particularly like reading from a PowerPoint slide, but I'm going to in this instance because some of you may be on quite small screens. So we wanted to let you all know that ICON and Care of Collection Group remains impartial regarding this topic, and we do not endorse or favour any vendor or product being presented today. This trade fair is designed to share information in a clear, fair and impartial manner. All companies joining us today have responded to an industry-wide invitation to be here. All have been asked to present on the same series of questions, and all have been given the same allotted time to discuss their products. So just to emphasise, the fact that someone is presenting here today does not in any way indicate that we as a group or ICON as an organisation endorse them or say this is someone you should use. They're just here as a very open meeting to share their wares with you. So we have a packed programme for you. We are going to go straight through to 1:25. There are 5-minute gaps in between the presenters, so there is a little bit of time to have a comfort break or go and make a cup of tea. But never fear, if you are concerned that you're going to miss a company that you're particularly interested in, this session is being recorded and it will be made available through the ICON YouTube channel. We're not quite sure how rapidly it will go up, but we will be putting information out through the IO group to let you know when that is available. I should realise, incidentally, I hadn't introduced myself. I'm Jane, I'm Chair of Care of Collections Group. You can see that we approached a number of people after putting a request out through the Care of Collection IO group that we have for environmental monitoring. We asked you who you wanted to find out more about, and a lot of you put forward companies that either you were interested in finding about or companies that you used and you thought gave you a good service. So you can see on the left that we approached a large number of companies. Those in bold accepted our invitation to speak. Subsequently to creating the programme, we have had a couple more companies approach us for people who are interested. And those you can see on the right hand side, and it's possible after today that some of those companies that we approached who didn't take up our invitation may decide that they've missed out on the event of the year, because clearly this is going to be a really useful and formative event. And so it's possible that there may be a second virtual trade fair with additional companies coming along later, but watch this space. We'll keep you posted, and again that will go out largely through the IO group but also through iConnect. So if people are interested, do get in touch with us and we'll see what we can do. Now, you will have questions. Please use the Q&A function to post questions for the presenters. Use the chat function to talk amongst yourselves, because this is also partly a networking event. But also, if you have any questions for us as a committee or bits of the technology aren't working, if you can get onto the chat, do use it for that. And that will do our best to answer your questions. So you may well see that they're in an office in London who are keeping an eye on your questions and managing various things. I'm in Birmingham, And our colleague Ariel is up in the rather lovely scenario of Northumberland, which is very delightful. So we're scattered here and wide, but we're all ready to find out lots of information. And I'm sure you are in the same position like me, where you have a Hanwell monitoring system and you're all thinking, now what are we supposed to do? Where do we go? And that's very much what today is for. So how can you be certain that you're going to be able to compare and contrast in a sensible, logical way? Well, we have given all of the suppliers who are presenting this morning a briefing. Now, again, this is quite small type and you may not be able to read it depending on the size of your screen. But essentially, every supplier is going to have 20 minutes to present on what they can offer in the way of environmental monitoring and support. We've given them 12 minutes to give any information that they want to convey to sell their system and to convince you that that's where you need to go. We have suggested some areas that they may like to cover, such as how data is presented, what it looks like, the type of hardware they supply, and how that connects. Is it Bluetooth? Is it Wi-Fi? Does it work through LoRaWAN? Does it need to be hardwired in, magic spells, whatever it is? So just how does it connect and work? Is leak detection there? And potentially, are there any other kinds of sensors that we can connect, not just RH temperature and lux and UV? Can we create reports? Is that an automatic function? And particularly those of us who have to report to the government indemnity scheme, it's really useful if those reports can pull information out that provide it in a way that fits that scheme, so that we haven't got to do a lot of work to try and work out, well, is it within the 40 to 65 degree band or not? How easy is it to add extra loggers? Does it need separate software? Do we need a degree in environmental monitoring engineering to be able to do it? What's that like? Calibration. Is that something that we, the users, can do in-house? Does it need a specialist engineer? Do we send them away? Can you do that? Can you come to us? Does it vary depending on what it is? So hopefully that information will be there. We've potentially suggested case studies so we can see what the system is like in use and perhaps some information about people's experiences of using it. And then particularly important for me, and I imagine a lot of other of you, is talk about how you might be able to support those of us who went with Hanwell, who no longer have support for those systems. And alongside that, can your environmental monitoring system support the conservation heating that we have set up and that runs through Hanwell? Those of you who are on the EMS software will know that that runs through the additional bit of software called Concept. And then for the final 8 minutes of the presentation, we have asked all our suppliers to give information on the same questions, which are, if there is existing data, so assuming that you're not going into this cold, you've already got some kind of monitoring system, you will want to know what's going to happen to that old data. Is it possible to transfer it into the new system so that, I find it really useful, certainly to be able to look at last year's data and probably even the year before that. And sometimes I need to know, well, what's happened over the last 5 years. And it's going to make my life very much easier if that can just be done through whatever environmental monitoring system I am now using. What support is available? Is it available ad hoc, or is it only available if we take out a service contract? That can have quite important budgetary implications, but obviously knowing that there's somewhere that can help you if it just throws a wobbly and doesn't seem to be doing what you want it to do, or bits aren't talking to other bits, can be really important, particularly if you're a one-person operation and you don't have a big IT team that you can rely on. And then finally, and very importantly, our annual costs. Is there going to be a yearly cost, a subscription type system, or is it a one-off? Can we just buy the sensors and the software, and then there'll be more money maybe 5-10 years down the line when there needs to be some kind of upgrade? And again, that's very much how important that is will very much depend on your budgets and how your institution's system works. And then at the end, there will be 5 minutes for questions to the supplier to take from the audience. And I see that one of my committee has a hand raised. So Karen, do you want to come in now?
We've just... We were just going to say that we're trying to get the chat enabled. So currently, if you have any chat, please put it in the Q&A and we'll pick it up from there.
Thank you very much. Technology marvellous. Fingers crossed that we'll have both streams working for you shortly. So I hope that all makes sense and that is the kind of session that you were expecting. If not, give us some feedback and we'll try and organise something else that matches what you were actually hoping for. We've been asked by our chums in the Icon office to just give you a little update on organisational memberships. Those of you who have been around in the profession for a while, like me, will remember that once upon a time your organisation could join and you didn't have to do it individually. That went away, it's now come back, and there's been a revised offer if your organisation joins. So if you take out an organisational membership, you get a free listing on the supplier directory or find a conservator. There can be 3 named contacts. So you actually have 3 people who are effectively the members. You get 3 copies of iConnect and the journal, up to a 20% discount on Icon events, including conferences. Or same discount on advertising, which is actually quite a good deal, knowing what those costs are. So for jobs, putting things out on iConnect and online, a 10% discount on exhibition stands at the conference, and a 10% discount on up to 10 individual membership purchases. I will point out that if you have or are intending to go for ACR status, you do need to be a member in your own right to be able to do that, as far as I understand it. It's probably a question to ask to the office in relation to organisational memberships. There's more details available on the Icon website, and do get in touch through the membership@icon.org.uk email address if you want more information. But it's quite a good deal. So our lovely suppliers, if you were thinking that you might like to continue to be involved with us, you might want to consider taking out an organisational membership. That's the end of my sales pitch. We were asked to put this information forward, so that's what I have done. So that's everything that I wanted to share with you this morning. Oh, it looks as if enabling the chat is not going to happen terribly easily, so we're Q&Aing by the looks of it. So do use the Q&A for all your questions, but if it's a question for presenters, if you could perhaps put that in your first line to say question 2, then that should highlight that we need to actually read out that question to everybody.
I was going to say the chat is now activated. We have been notified.
Ooh,
so please
exciting.
do all go in the chat, everybody. Thank you, Emma, who is helping to oversee this as well. And I was going to say thank you so much, Jane, for the most phenomenal introduction. I was going to say, and thank you for reading out, obviously, our statement at the very beginning. I think we are going to hand over now to our very first presenter. And I'm really pleased to say that it will be BevArt who will be presenting. Take it away.
Thank you, Icon, and thank you, Jane. Can you all hear me?
We can indeed. Yes, we can.
Perfect. Now let me just sort out the presentation view. Can you now also see my slides?
It looks magnificent.
Thank you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in this morning. We are thrilled to be here today and to have the opportunity to share more about our company, BevArt, with you. My name is Christian. I am the operational manager here at BevArt, and with me, I have my fellow co-founder and CEO, Håvard. Håvard and I first met as students at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. At the time, I was working part-time as an art historian, my background, at the Nidaros Cathedral. And that's where I discovered the potential of combining new technologies for heritage science. I saw how technology could create both new insights and make data collection much more efficient. But I also noticed that there was a big gap between the instruments that we had access to and the tools that were actually needed in day-to-day museum and conservation work. I wanted to do something about that gap, but quickly realized that I couldn't do it alone. I needed a partner with strong technical and business skills, and that's how the idea for BevArt began to take shape. Before starting BevArt, we spoke with a lot of conservators to better understand how museums, archives, and heritage sites were using technology. And there was one issue that came up over and over again: climate monitoring. Conservators described it as one of their biggest frustrations. The sensors they were used to were bulky, and they required constant maintenance. The radio telemetry systems made them rather difficult to both install and to move around, and the software simply didn't support the full range of tasks museums needed them to do. And the reason for this was clear. Most of these systems had been created about 20 or so years ago for completely different industries. And when companies updated them, if they ever did, heritage science was unfortunately rarely their priority. And that gap was exactly what we set out to close. Learning from these lessons, we decided to specialize, working exclusively with museums and the heritage sector. Our first major partner was Comet. It's the largest museum in Bergen, Norway. And they gave us a long list of challenges with their existing systems, as well as missing industry-specific features that no one else had previously addressed. So we set out to solve those problems and to build tools designed specifically for their uses. When Comet saw the results, they began recommending us to colleagues at other institutions. And it was at that moment that momentum really started to build. As we started to connect with more people in the heritage science community, we were gradually introduced to a man named Boris Pretzel. Now, Boris is a seasoned veteran in the field. He spent more than 3 decades as a heritage scientist at the Victoria and Albert Museum, where he was, among other things, instrumental in developing their climate monitoring and risk assessment strategies. So we decided to join forces with him. With Boris on board, our company could combine deep sector expertise with fresh technological innovation, bringing together the best of both worlds. Today, BevArt works with museums across Scandinavia, continental Europe, the UK, and the US, with a team of 9 spread across 3 countries. What drives us isn't just growth, it's impact. Our technology is helping institutions protect their collections more effectively, save time for their conservation departments, and gain insights that were previously out of reach. We believe that by staying specialized and by continually improving, we are building the tools that make a real difference to the way history is preserved and shared. Even today, many climate monitoring systems are still based on the technologies developed decades ago for completely different industries. With the radio telemetry, every sensor has to be connected to a specific gateway. It's clunky, hard to install, and usually requires technical staff just to get started. And when we look at heritage sites, the challenges only multiply, because many of these buildings are in remote locations, they are fragile, or simply not designed for modern network connectivity. Relying on existing wireless infrastructure just isn't realistic. And then there's maintenance. Conservators told us how much time they've spent replacing batteries and scheduling calibrations across dozens of sensors spread over multiple physical locations. So, if monitoring is going to work for museums and heritage sites, it can't just be a slightly better version of the old systems, it has to be fundamentally rethought. And over the next slides, Håvard will walk you through exactly how we've taken on that challenge.
Thank you, Christian. So, the feedback we have received and the research we have done have resulted in what I'm holding up here. The sensor and the gateway. That's it. There are no buttons, no antennas, no probes. This is all you need. The sensor measures relative humidity and temperature, and it sends data to the gateway every 15 minutes. Because of IoT technology, they automatically find each other. And the gateway is cellular connected, which means there is no need for local Wi-Fi or Ethernet cables. All you need is the power source for the gateway, and you will have 24/7 live data available from anywhere. We not only monitor relative humidity and temperature, we have a lineup of different sensors monitoring things like lux levels, flood detection, cold storage conditions, and more. The smallest sensors are so small that some museums put them inside painting frames. And because we realize art and other objects are often in transit, we have built the transport sensor. It will alert you live and on the go if anything happens. Shock, light, humidity, location, you name it. Now, because most of you are here to explore solutions for climate monitoring, let's dive into the technical details of the Pro sensor. It measures relative humidity with an accuracy of plus or minus 2%, and it maintains this accuracy for the first 5 years in operation. And at that point, and as part of the service, we switch it out with a calibrated sensor. For those of you who do want to calibrate more often, for example, if there are very demanding conditions or if you have research purposes, we accommodate for that as well. The sensor is developed and manufactured in Norway, which means no unexpected customs or tariffs. It has a 15-year battery life, which means you don't have to worry about manually switching out batteries. It can operate at pretty much any temperature conditions. It does not need local Wi-Fi or Bluetooth because it is cellular connected, just like your phone. So it simply connects without having to enter any settings. And last but not least, many of our clients are positioned in remote locations, which could be prone to power outages. And therefore, we have built the Pro sensor with an internal memory. It will remember all the data and automatically upload once everything is back online. So this is what Mike from the Norwegian Aviation Museum is saying. So they've installed the equipment at the Rørstad Kirke. This is the right choice for a place like theirs since it doesn't rely on Wi-Fi. System is excellent, easy to install, easy to read. The memory is a great feature. And he also likes that he can plot outdoor conditions without needing another sensor. And that brings us to the software. So our sensors send all the data to our included software, which we have called Custodian. It is browser-based, which means you don't need to download an app. Just log on to Safari or Google Chrome or whichever browser you are using. Custodian contains all your live data, which belongs to you and your institution. And it will help you create real-time alerts, which are fully customizable. And because you asked for it, we are currently working on adding conservation heating to automatically react to changes in the indoor climate. We are, of course, Cyber Essentials certified, which means we are certified for a range of security requirements. For example, all data is encrypted and stored on GDPR-compliant servers. Custodian also has a range of additional features, which I will show you soon, including our powerful reporting tool. So let's get to it. I just have to switch tabs here. Okay, can you see the application? I assume yes.
Yes,
This
we
is what
can. Perfect.
Okay. This is what you see when you log on to Custodian. You can see your museum buildings, and within the buildings, you can see the rooms. And inside the rooms, you have the sensors and the gateway. Now, if you want to inspect the climate data of any given sensor, you click it, and then you're taken to the climate view. Here you can see the past 24 hours of relative humidity and temperature data for a sensor. You can also select a week worth of data if you want to. And you can see here there is a note. You can always add notes on the graphs by simply clicking them and then saying something and saving it, and it will show up and your colleagues will see it. Now we can hide this for the moment and display that you can, if you have created alerts that will alert you if anything is wrong with humidity or temperature, you can see where the thresholds are. If you click these, if the conditions are outside of these conditions, you get an SMS or an email. Now, an interesting add-on is also the possibility to add the weather to the graph. This we fetch online, so you don't need an actual physical sensor outdoors, but you can simply add it to compare outdoor versus indoor conditions. Now, if you want to create a report, and specifically with the government indemnity scheme in mind, you simply go to the report section and you create a new report. Now, for now, let's keep it like a PDF report. Let's give it a name, icon presentation for this test. Let's select the first days of September, and let's select all the sensors in the museum building. We don't need the weather data for this, but for this test, I just want to show you how the AI generated summary look. So we'll click this one and click finish. And to illustrate how the report looks, I will share this tab instead. So here you can scroll down. And the first thing you see is the generated summary. Now there's quite a lot of information here, but I want to, just as an example, show you for room A3. This is our office, so it's not really a problem, but for this report, it says you're above 60% humidity 100% of the time. And this presents a severe risk for mold growth, corrosion, and accelerated material degradation. Yikes. Yep. So let's move on to the key figures. You can see here the span, the averages of both the temperature and the humidity within all the rooms. And also for the government indemnity scheme, you can see the fluctuations, so the interval. Now we are in trouble, like you see here, but and you can also see some more detailed information in this chart right here. But like I said, it's only our office, so we're good for now. Let's move on to a specific sensor. And here we see all of this data in addition to the actual graph. And here you can also see we have a note that we added previously, and you can scroll all the way down and see what this means. The window is open. So that's the most important information about the application and the graphs. Mm-hmm. So now I would like to go back and share this screen again. Let me see. And then let's click this. Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you. Then I give the word back to Christian.
All right, thanks. So we know that switching systems, so the potential of switching systems can feel quite overwhelming. So that's why we have made the transition to BevArt as simple as we possibly can. We provide free installation and training, so that your team can get started right away. And if you already have historical climate data from a previous system, we will ourselves help you import it directly into our software, Custodian, so that both old and new climate data is combined together in one beautiful graph. Once the system is running, it's designed to be set it and forget it. There are no more battery changes or calibration cycles to keep track of. And on top of that, every single institution has their own dedicated support person working at BevArt that they can reach out to and contact directly if anything were to occur. One of our partners at the Helgeland Museum described the installation process best. And that's exactly the kind of confidence that we want every institution to feel. When it comes to pricing, we've kept things simple and transparent. Our model is based on a yearly subscription that costs £165 per sensor per year. The gateways are included and there are no hidden fees. The annual cost covers everything ranging from hardware to software, installation, recurring support, and even replacement sensors if you were unfortunate enough to lose track of some, and that has happened. For institutions with larger deployments, we do offer volume discounts. And for projects where capital budgets are the priority, we also have flexible options for upfront payment. The idea is straightforward. No surprises, no extra invoices, just one clear price per number of sensor that covers the entire product offering. But of course, the best way to understand our company and our product isn't by hearing us talk about it. It's by experiencing it for yourself. And that's why we are offering all participants here today a free trial of our system for 1 to 2 months, as much time as you need to properly assess the system. During that time, you will have full access to all features and you will be supported just as if you were a paying customer. There's no commitment. It's simply a chance to see how BevArt works in your own institution with your own collections. We'd love for you to try it out and see firsthand how much easier climate monitoring can be. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share our story and our company with you here today. We would love to stay in touch and are always happy to answer any questions, both during this event or afterwards. You'll find our contact details here, and our slides will be shared after the event along with a case study. We very much look forward to the discussions and the questions ahead.
All right. I think we can move over to the actual questions here. So the first one is from Mark, and he says, hello, Christian and Håvard. Are there identifying marks, serial numbers, or QR codes on the nanosensors to differentiate one sensor from another? And the answer is yes, you have the QR code on the front of the nanosensor.
And on the back of the Pro sensor as well.
Yes. So
yeah, I can take it if you want to.
Yep.
Yeah, and these are they might look the same, the QR codes. It's I can't tell the difference myself with my own physical eye, but they are unique to each device. So the way that we figure out which sensor corresponds to which graph in the software is by using the mobile version of Custodian and scanning the QR code. By doing so, you'll immediately know which one is which and can name them accordingly.
And Mark, I'll reach out to you after just to make sure that you're up to speed on all this. Next question is from Helen. And she says, hi, does the BevArt transport logger have lithium batteries? Does it meet international air transport requirements? So very good questions. Lithium batteries would have been a bit problematic for airline transport, which was why we have built it with a different type of batteries that are pre-approved by 150 airlines. So this is usually not a problem. I guess that answers the question.
Yeah, it is, as long as we brand the crate.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem with the battery. You just need to brand the crate with saying logging inside and no lithium.
Yep. Next question then is from Dervilla, and she says, can you edit the graph axis? So we used to have auto scaling graphs, but for consistency, we have changed this to a given scale. And as part of the product plan, we want to give users the possibility to edit it. We don't have it right now, but you will see it in the future.
I can answer the next question from
Yeah.
Nikki Tompkins. Thank you for saying that the reports look great. The question is it possible to edit the auto-generated text before saving it as a PDF? And yes, it is. When you are generating the report, the text will come up first, and then you can open the window and edit anything to your liking before actually generating the PDF report. So yes, that is possible.
Mm-hmm. Does the software show battery level / function live so that any issues can be spotted? It's a question by Helen Smith, by the way. How are you able to state that your RH sensors are permanently calibration free? So the battery level is a function that we have in our backend. We always keep track of this, and we have alarms, internal alarms, so that in case there is any sort of a battery issue, we tell the client before it happens, and we send them a new one and give them the option to just simply switch. But usually it's a 15-year battery life, so this is usually not a problem. And then the next question, how are you able to state that your RH question, RH...
Sorry, we're just scrolling.
Yeah.
When there comes new questions, we have to scroll. Let's see.
I think it was a question about the
calibration and
yes.
and the drift, the air drift.
Yes. So according to our internal tests and also our supplier tests, we have confirmed that the sensors are within ±2%, and the drift means that it's very low drift, which means that you stay within this ±2% for the first 5 years. Now, of course, if you want even more accuracy or even more certainty in these measurements, we do open the possibility of calibrating yourself. You can take these sensors to any calibration clinic, and they will give you usually like a 3-point calibration, 25, 50, 75. And if you give that to us, we can insert the offset into the software so that you always see the calibration or calibrated data. So yeah.
I guess we have to go back to the open tab.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one has been okay. That one has been answered. Building maps.
Question from Steve: can you apply building maps to the system with the sensor overlay in the web graphical user interface? And the question is, or the answer is yes. We do have floor plans. You can upload for several floors, different buildings, and add the sensors exactly where you want them. You can even see the data in the floor plan overview, so you get sort of a visual interpretation of how the climate is distributed inside.
Let's see. I don't know if I'm answering in the right order, but I'm just answering them as they show up on my screen. So I'm trying to address as many as possible. A question from Nadia Totskaya. How many users are included in the subscription? That's unlimited. We have no limit on that, so that's all included. And we have a question for Mr. Nigel Blades as well. He asks, what is the sensor range to gateway in a typical solid masonry building? Is there any charge for additional gateways if several is needed for coverage of a building? Great question. The usual stated range that we provide, so as you know, this will differ based on the floor plan layout and the concrete materials of the walls. But we typically state that the range is ±40 between sensor and range extender. We have experienced much further, but we also experienced slightly less. But since that's included, that's usually our problem to make sure that the connectivity is there and not the client's problem. If there is any charge for additional gateways, if several needed for coverage of a building, not really. There is a small caveat there, but do you want to take that one, Ole?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So there are two sort of caveats. The first one is you need to order a minimum of 12 sensors for us to automatically supply the gateways free of charge.
If not, they cost the same as a sensor. So
Yeah.
165 per year for those as well.
Yeah. And also, if you are, like, we usually use common sense on this, but if there are, say, more than or less than 5 sensors per gateway, then you might have to pay for the gateway. But we're usually very, very kind on that. So, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, time is up. And I'm so sorry to stop you mid-flow, team. But I was going to say that was a phenomenal presentation. I was going to say, if people still have questions, you guys can still answer the questions on the chat and the questions. So please do feel free to. Everyone, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And then next up on the list will be Chart. So please do take a 5-minute break. And can I say, again, phenomenal presentation, BevArt. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I am so pleased to welcome Gert from Sharp. Gert, please do take it away.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Absolutely, we can.
Great. Hello, everyone. Very happy to see you all here in such large numbers. Big thank you to the Icon team as well for making this happen. So I'm Geert Bouwens, founder and managing director of Sharp. I'm an engineer and architect and hold a PhD in building physics and sustainable design. Today, I'll introduce you to Sharp, a spin-off from the University of Leuven in Belgium. And with Sharp, we support heritage institutions with our online software and discrete hardware to monitor the climate around valuable artifacts and collections. So we are proud to support a range of institutions in Europe and beyond. Our work spans museums, heritage libraries, archives, and private collections, both covering temporary and permanent exhibitions, as well as storage. So to make this a little bit more concrete, I'll now highlight some case studies from the institutions we work with. First case study, where it all began for us, is the Ghent altarpiece. So for the Ghent altarpiece, a new display case was installed inside one of the chapels of the cathedral. So this is not your typical museum setting. So for that, a climate control system was installed, but risks of technical failure remained. So the conservation team from the cathedral turned to Sharp for reliable, immediate alerts. Since then, alert notifications have enabled them to quickly correct for deviations. A second case study is the Hans Christian Andersen Museum in Denmark. A particular aspect here is that all of the objects are stored in passively controlled display cases, which allows them to have the climate in the rooms roam more freely.
Oh, hi, Gert. Hold on. Could I stop you for 1 second? Could we ask people in the chat, can you see a presentation? Someone has said they can't see a presentation. I'm so sorry to stop you. Oh, everyone can. Gert, I'm so sorry. Please continue. That is my fault. I'm
no worries. So as I was saying, the museum with all of the objects stored in display cases can allow the climate in the room to roam more freely. So without harming the collection, they can save on energy costs to control climate. Another example is the National Library of Norway, where after a temporary exhibition where we supported them with our mini devices, we are also monitoring the storage area with our LoRaWAN devices. So the installation was really quick, and they report that the signal range was impressive, going through several floors and having no issues with the metal shelves filled with books. The Municipal Library in Belgium wanted to monitor the collections for two reasons. They wanted to obtain a heritage library status officially, and they also wanted to cut energy costs. So they used Sharp to monitor the collection's climate. And it turned out that thanks to the building's large hygrothermal mass, ventilation could be significantly reduced without impacting the collection. So in fact, the climate, after taking these measures, was even more stable than before. So we're now building a case with them to assess the actual energy savings that we realized by taking these measures. Early this year, the city of Antwerp selected Sharp for a citywide environmental monitoring platform. The project includes a total of 300 loggers with accompanying gateways, fully independent from municipal Wi-Fi. So the result is a robust real-time monitoring system that is deployed across 14 museums and heritage sites in Antwerp. So a quick look at today's agenda. So we'll first walk you through our software and hardware, and then share how we approach monitoring in practice. I'll also touch on how to add extra loggers. After that, we'll cover, of course, how we might support Hanwell customers, and also in general, how we handle the transfer of existing data. We'll discuss the support services we provide, including calibration. And finally, we'll have a look at costs. So our online software is made for conservation teams. So the software offers a flexible monitor view that allows you to explore your data. It comes with a summary statistics table that adapts to the data you are zooming in on. It also allows you to make notes directly on charts for a certain date and time or for a period. So throughout the software, you can use the embedded digital notebook to annotate and detail activities and interventions on the collections. Data can be mapped directly to relevant guidelines. For example, the ASHRAE 2019 guideline that you all know for temperature and relative humidity, or the ISO Blue standard for light. Typically, you have an overview of the different locations that you're analyzing, and you can click through to go through a detailed view. There are also modules to calculate and plot dew point and absolute humidity to facilitate discussions with, for example, facility management. Alerts are customizable and efficient with cascading notifications for the conservation team and alert templates that are aligned with recommendations such as BISO Green. You always have an overview of your devices in table format with the latest values and battery levels. And you can visually locate your devices on interactive and shareable floor plans. Finally, the software also makes it simple to demonstrate compliance to lenders by sharing reports via PDF or by enabling access to specific charts by simply sharing a link to the platform. So we designed monitoring systems that are ideal for museums, heritage libraries, and archives. Our loggers are built from materials that pass the Audit test, making them safe for permanent use around artifacts and valuable objects. There are no LCD screens to avoid any misinterpretation or the risk of exposing sensitive information. You might have noticed there are two loggers depicted here with different sizes. So first we have the Sharp Mini, a small discrete device that is perfectly suited to be placed close to your objects. It has highly accurate sensors for temperature, relative humidity, and light. A typical application is to place the minis in display cases scattered throughout a room. They use Bluetooth to communicate, so somewhere in the same room we have a gateway which we can mount, for example, underneath a display case or on a partition wall. All of the system components are battery powered, and the gateway forwards the data it receives from the minis using the mobile network. Here you see an example of a mini mounted in a display case. So then we have the Maxi, our LoRaWAN logger. It features the same high quality sensors that we find in the Mini. With the LoRaWAN technology, it typically suffices to place just a single gateway to cover a mid-sized building. Afterwards, you can place the loggers where you need them without having to worry about range. Should you need to extend the range of the LoRaWAN network, you simply add a receiver, no configuration needed. The Maxi devices will figure out which receiver they best talk to. Both the Mini and the Maxi loggers feature built-in magnets for quick mounting, but they can also be screw fixed or taped. Powered by batteries, they operate for over 3 years without interruption. Important, all of our systems run independently of existing infrastructure, so there's no need to involve technical or IT teams. They are delivered fully pre-configured, allowing you to be up and running in a couple of minutes. Here you see an example of the Maxi logger deployed in an archive. The Maxi logger is also designed for monitoring during transport. So in addition to LoRaWAN, it comes with a built-in SIM card, allowing it to connect directly to the mobile network. So no gateway required. So we're actually looking for pilot projects to validate this use case. So we'd be honored to consider your institution. So if you'd like to take part, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let me explain a little bit more about our approach. So we propose a subscription model. Hardware is leased and maintenance is included. Why do we do that? Because we've seen numerous occasions where loggers are left without maintenance for years, or are simply lost, or are left uncalibrated. So by maintaining the devices and calibrating the sensors, we ensure that the data coming into the software is of high quality. What's more, by subscribing to this leasing formula, you always get to enjoy the latest version of the devices, and we avoid obsolete hardware. Our software is continuously improved, shaped by your feedback. And we also stand beside you with expert support. You'll have access to extensive documentation and dedicated training sessions. And because no two collections or institutions are the same, we provide tailored solutions and consultancy. This can include the purchase of the system as opposed to leasing, together with specific maintenance contracts. But it may also involve the help with the design of a monitoring system that fits your context, support to improve the collections climate, or even strategies to save energy. A short word on calibration. So all sensors experience drift, and that's something every one of us needs to account for. We know that some systems on the market have a kind of a hidden cost of calibration, which comes later. With our standard subscription, calibration of the mini and the maxi loggers is included. So by default, we recommend calibration every 3 years, though other frequencies are possible. Before loggers are shipped to you, our engineers take care of the calibration. And finally, calibration for extra loggers is available on request. To add extra loggers, no separate software is needed. So our platform supports a range of compatible loggers, several of which we already deploy in projects, such as CO2 sensors, weather stations, and leak detectors. Custom loggers can also be integrated, but require onboarding by our support team. The same applies when you would like to couple other systems, such as building management platforms. If you're considering a specific logger or an existing system, or if you're unsure of what is feasible, just reach out. We'll be happy to explore the possibilities together with you. When it comes to supporting Hanwell customers, we see 3 possible scenarios. Scenario 1 is to keep using the Hanwell system as long as it lasts. The challenge here is that you might not be in control when something goes wrong. Parts may fail, support is limited, as you know, and even when everything works, you're still stuck with regular battery replacements and having to send out loggers for calibration. Scenario 2 is to keep the Hanwell loggers, but move to Sharp software. That means you could upload CSV files or text files that you download from the Hanwell system into Sharp, or even connect the system directly to our servers. But this last thing can be pretty tricky. It takes time from your team and our team to do it securely and correctly, and it requires a license from Hanwell. So technically possible, it is complicated and expensive. We have been in regular contact with Hanwell on how best to tackle this. So do contact us if you'd like to know more. And finally, scenario 3 is to fully transition to Sharp. Switching actually costs less than adapting the old system, and it saves time because installation is quick and easy. Compared with radio frequency or Wi-Fi setups, you'll need fewer receivers. And on top of that, you benefit from regular software updates and support. So with Sharp, similar to what we discussed for Hanwell, you can maintain your historic data without loss and make it seamlessly available in our system. You can upload CSV files or text files yourself, or rely on us to handle any readable formats. In any case, once you're subscribed to the system, we set up the most appropriate process to transfer your data securely and correctly. All of our subscriptions include a standard level of support. Our technical support team is available Monday to Friday during working hours to answer practical questions and resolve technical issues. For organizations that need extra peace of mind, we also offer a kind of emergency support line for urgent matters that need to be handled outside office hours. Beyond this, we also help design monitoring systems and configure the software to match your specific needs. For example, setting up appropriate analyses and alerts for temporary exhibitions where you have multiple colleagues and multiple external partners involved. If you prefer to purchase the system, know that this is possible and that system support and the maintenance of devices can still be arranged either ad hoc or through a service contract. And we conclude with a word on costs. So the hardware and software are, as I said, part of a yearly subscription, not a one-off fee. So hardware is leased and maintenance is included. Every 3 years, we send you replacement loggers. Replacement loggers that have a full battery and calibrated sensors. The cost for a system grows with the number, the cost of the system grows with the number of loggers, but at a decreasing rate because some of the fixed costs are divided over the decreasing amount of loggers. So the price per logger drops as the volume grows. Subscriptions start from as few as 5 loggers and 1 gateway, which has a yearly cost of around 2,300 euros or 2,000 pounds sterling. For larger volumes, we apply volume discounts. So do contact us if you have a particular project in mind, so we might give you a detailed price indication. Thank you very much for having us today and for your attention. Should this presentation leave you wanting more, we invite you to join our regular webinars on preventive conservation. In particular, we'd love to welcome you to our next session on the 14th of October, where we'll present and take time to introduce our new Maxi logger. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you once again, and we'd be very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Again, I was going to say thank you so much. All I can see is one question in the chat, in the question and answer for you, which is from Andrew Calvert, and it says, Sharp, please explain why a license from Hanwell is required to continue to use Hanwell sensors or convert the data our system produces.
Sorry, I don't see the question. Can you repeat, please?
It says, please explain why a license from Hanwell is required to continue to use Hanwell sensors or convert the data our systems produce. It's in the question and answer section, and it's the latest one, if you can see it.
Yeah. And what is meant by our system produces? So yeah, perhaps to clarify that, if I understand the question correctly, there's several options to integrate the data with the Sharp software. You either upload CSV files or text files that you have downloaded from the Hanwell system, which you can do by using the modules available in the Sharp software. So this is a manual thing that you can do manually yourself. But there's also the option to link the two systems together directly. So to forward actually the data from the database managed by Hanwell to Sharp servers. And this is possible, but as I said, it's complicated and expensive, and it requires a license from Hanwell to do it in a proper way.
We've had a question. Thank you so much, Gert. Andrew, please do feel free to post more questions. Nadia has asked, can you please repeat the costs for the system?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we have a minimum kit of 5 loggers and 1 gateway, which is priced at 2,000 pounds sterling or 2,300 euros. And I do need to mention there that it's a base price, and do take into account that if you go for a larger system, you cannot divide the rule of 3 to calculate the price for a larger system.
Nikki has asked, question for Sharp, do you need different gateways for the mini and maxi loggers?
Exactly. So the gateways that accompany the mini loggers are battery powered. and use the mobile network to forward the data, whereas the LoRaWAN loggers are accompanied by a powered gateway that either uses the mobile network or uses the Ethernet network.
Thank you. Rebecca has just asked, can you please give an indication of outright purchase cost? And then we've got Nigel again going into cost. Is that 2K per 5 cents of price to purchase, or is it an annual subscription?
Yeah, so to respond to the last question, it's an annual subscription. So it's an annual fee of 2K. I'm sorry, is it the Q&A? Is it something that we can write down after the oral part of the Q&A?
We will download the Q&A at the end and make sure it's available for everyone to review upon, but also we're hoping that the recording will be there as well. Andrew Calvert is asking, can you write down the base cost in the Q&A, please?
The base cost meaning?
The base, just said base cost. Andrew, would you like to put in further with that? Or if you would like to talk us through the base costs of it, we can write it in the Q&A for you.
Okay, so the base cost for this minimum kit, so I'll just repeat the cost that we mentioned, if I understood the question correctly. So the base cost for the kit of 5 loggers and 1 gateway is 2,300 euros and 2,000 pounds sterling annual costs.
Perfect. Thank you very much. How many loggers can 1 gateway support?
Are you writing it down?
Yeah, so how many loggers? So when you are looking at the mini gateways, they can support up to 10 minis paired with 1 gateway. And then if you look at the maxi loggers that are paired with a LoRaWAN receiver, there you have a more theoretical limit going up to several hundreds of maxis that can be coupled to 1 gateway. And then is the cost the same for the maxi and the mini system? There's a minimal difference, but it comes down to the same, approximately the same cost for a mini or a maxi system.
Yeah, go.
Okay, we've got one more question from Nikki. How well does the system work in areas with poor phone signal?
So there, I think you have 2 options, or the mini gateways, they use a mobile network, but they use a protocol which is reserved for machine-to-machine communication. So it would typically have a much better coverage than we would have on our phones. So that's one part. And then the other part, when you look at the maxi system, there you have 2 options. You can place the LoRaWAN gateway where you do have proper mobile network connectivity and rely on LoRaWAN to reach devices, maxi loggers that are placed in locations where you might have less mobile network. Or the gateways also have the possibility to use Ethernet as a alternative backhaul to forward the data.
I think we can fit in one more question very quickly, if you can answer it quickly, Gert. Would 1 gateway suffice for sensors placed in several floors in the building?
Definitely. So, and I mentioned some of the case studies where ourselves included, we are always surprised by the incredible range these devices have. Typically, if you would have a very difficult construction with metal shelves, concrete structures, we would say up to 3 levels of difference between gateway and devices as a kind of rule of thumb.
And perfect timing, Gert. I was going to say thank you so much. You answered that question quickly and efficiently. We will take now a 5-minute break. A big thank you to you for your presentation. And the next presenters will be Comet.
Thank you all.
Hello.
Hello, are you at home?
No, do you remember me saying to you last week that I was away Monday, Tuesday?
Right. Oh, hello and welcome, Steve. Steve is now presenting Comet to everyone. Steve will be the official supplier of anything Comet in the UK. But Steve, please do take it away.
Brilliant. Well, hello and good morning to you, Jane and Letty, and to all the ICON members. My name is Steve Cattell, and I am the Sensor Sales Manager for Carlton Thermal Systems Limited. And we are the appointed UK technical agent for Comet System. Thank you for allowing us to talk with you all about the Comet system solutions, and we have prepared a comprehensive presentation for your review and consideration. So please enjoy. Let me just get this on screen, and hopefully you can hear me fine, and you will be about to see this fine as well. Okay, so how is that looking for you guys? Is that...
Are you sharing your screen? We can't quite see it yet.
Oh, can you not? Okay, let's see what's going on here. How about now?
No screen. We just see your face, Steve, which is lovely.
Right. Oh, not very lovely. Okay, what's going on with the issues? We had this yesterday, didn't we? My apologies.
Have you gone back into split screen setup, Steve?
No, I'm literally got my PowerPoint here, and I'm just clicking onto the TV stand icon to start from the beginning. And
Are you sharing your? Are you clicking share my screen? Sorry, that's a basic question.
Yeah, let me just make sure that is sort of like being done on that one as well. Sorry.
No, don't worry, Steve. I can say, do you want? I know you're doing double screen. So do you want to unplug your screen and see? Nick Williams had kindly said chainsaw to laptop, not screen. Alternatively, remove the HDMI. I would remove the HDMI,
Yeah.
which you've done.
I've just disconnected the TV, so I'm now just running this from my laptop. And let's go again on this one. And icon coming up. I am so sorry. Right, share. There we go. That's still not coming through, is it?
No, it's not, Steve. So you're going
Okay.
to share. You've got it open.
Yeah, let me. Can you just give me a minute? I'm going to go and get my colleague.
Of course.
Then we can
I'm just
figure this
gonna.
one out.
Yeah, I'll turn your screen off, but I'll keep your audio on.
Fantastic. Thank you. Where's Richard?
Oh, well done, Steve. We can now see it. If you want to, you're unmuted at the moment. So if you unmute yourself, we can see it.
No, Ian.
Perfect, perfect.
Are we there? Thank you very much for your grace and patience with me. That is appreciated. Okay, so let me talk you through. So we're here this morning to obviously show off the range of devices that our partner Comet system has. So this is our environmental monitoring, reporting and control systems for heritage and the conservation. So what devices do we have? Well, we have technologies for temperature, for relative humidity, for CO2, for flood detection, for smoke detection, for absolute humidity, for lux and for UV. And the communication protocols, we have the Wi-Fi, we have Ethernet, we have Sigfox, we have the LoRaWAN devices, in addition to the IoT wireless, which are the 4G GSM devices. And we're now just going that have an inbuilt modem and a SIM card that allows you to transmit your data directly into the cloud. So some of the benefits there, you have the rechargeable batteries, you have the data that can go to the Comet cloud or to a database. Obviously, signal coverage is the same as your mobile phone as well. You can upload data through the USB to your host PC in the event of no signal. Battery life is dependent on the logging interval. And again, with regard to the sensor swap over, changeover, and no technical skill is required on that. The devices are pretty much plug and play. So now we are moving on to the LoRaWAN devices. These came to market by Comet back in early 2025, and they have been taking off very nicely. So again, we have a number of thermometers for temperature and for humidity. And as we've seen from the earlier presentations, they work with a gateway as well. Again, so they use the lithium batteries, they transmit data to the Comet Cloud database. Your network coverage is between 2 to 15 kilometers. Multiple devices per gateway, low power consumption. You have a battery life that is very long, and again, depending on the frequency. There's wall, magnetic, and shelf stand options. And one good thing to note about the LoRaWAN devices is that they come with a 1-year subscription to the Comet Cloud, completely inclusive of the device charge. So just wanted to mention that one to you all. And then moving on to the Sigfox. For those that don't know, Sigfox uses a radio transmission to transmit data into the Comet Cloud or into the Comet database. And very similar to the LoRaWAN, they use the lithium batteries. They can transmit to the cloud or to the database. Again, multiple devices per gateway. Excellent battery life as well, and the same with the wall and magnetic shelf stand options as well. That one. So Wi-Fi devices, and this allows you to make use of the existing Wi-Fi infrastructure that may be in your galleries, your museums, your warehouses, your storage, your archives. Again, they can be powered by mains. They can also be powered by USB, or you can use a power bank on that one. Same with the fixing options. So you've got the wall, the magnetic, and the shelf stand option. And again, they will transmit to the cloud or to the Comet database. And then we have Ethernet devices. So again, taking advantage of existing building infrastructure where there will be a network that you can then obviously use the Ethernet or the PoE, power over Ethernet devices, and the web sensors that Comet have available. And as before, they can be used with the Comet Cloud. They can be used with the Comet database. They can be powered using either the mains or they can use the PoE feature. Again, with the same wall magnet shelf stand options. As we go through the presentation, there will be an image showing some of these options for you. And then we've got the standalone data loggers with the USB. So these are your typical battery operated data loggers that are primarily used as redundancies. So where there might not be a Wi-Fi infrastructure, where the environment might be too difficult for a LoRa or a Sigfox signal to penetrate and break through, then these devices have a local memory that save the data onto, and you can then obviously upload the data through the USB to your host PC. And then using the Comet Vision software allow you to obviously produce your graphs and charts on that one as well. And again, they're all available in a range of outputs. So for temperature, for relative humidity, for CO2, flood detection. I think we've kind of just said some of these bullet points there. So again, it's the battery operated, the data download via the USB. Obviously, some devices can then also have that data go into the Comet Cloud. And then we come on to accessories. So in addition to Comet providing the conventional sensors, there's a number of units that either have inbuilt or external sensors. And depending on the type of area or the environment that you're looking to monitor, there will be a probe solution to go with one of the paired devices. And it's important to note that Comet will provide at point of sale a free traceable calibration certificate with each and every device. There is a standard warranty of 3 years that comes with all of the Comet hardware as well. And continuing on the accessories, we've got a selection there of the smoke detector. We've got the UV and the lux sensors. We've got the CO2 external sensors, and again with the leak and the point and leak detectors as well. And for rugged environments, you've got the professional weather station that has been tested. As I mentioned, you've got the magnetic mounting with the lockable wall mounts, as well as the transparent shelf mount, just to keep your display cases and areas looking nice and tidy. We now have the handheld section, which are the home meters, and similar to the other devices, they will just allow an operator to go around and do the testing and obviously allow that information to be transferred into the Comet database and into the Comet Vision software. So these devices have 16 input channels, so i.e. one device will allow you to have up to 16 different data points. And I'm now going to come away from the hardware side and show you some screenshots for the Comet Cloud. So the Comet Cloud is their proprietary software. It's developed in-house by the team at Comet, as opposed to using a third party. And what that means is that they are able to have their software written in such a way that it works so nice with their hardware. The typical cost for the Comet Cloud is a yearly subscription price of £20. Yes, you heard that correctly. £20 is the single device charge for 12 months of data onto the Comet cloud. And when you consider that cloud devices come with a 3-month activation registration, if you buy your cloud top-up at the same time that you buy your hardware, you are essentially giving yourself 15 months of data onto the Comet cloud. And as we go through the slides, you can see typically the type of data that can be collected. So this was an example recently where we were working with the Chantry Library, and we were collecting obviously temperature, and we were collecting RH. As before, you can see that there is the possibility to add a comment function. So where you may see a particular event, but you know what happened during that time, and then you can obviously log the event into the software for the traceability and the compliance. You can view all of your readings in graph as well as tabular. Depends on your preference. There's also the ability to compare devices, which is very unique, because if you have more than one device, or maybe your measured place is an area where you have multiple sensors and you want to do that comparison, then you can obviously do that side by side. User permissions, hopefully you can see that screen nice and big. So basically, you have the ability to assign different layers of permissions depending on what access that you may want that user to have. That could be very important in terms of like thinking about having someone that's maybe the top level administrator, and then you might have someone that literally has like a guest access that can just look at the data but not necessarily change any parameters or change any configuration. Device subscription. So I mentioned about the charge for the Comet Cloud, £20 per device. And they come in the form of digital credits that are available to buy from Carlton Thermal Systems. And when you have your digital code and you have your cloud set up, you will just go and enter that credit onto your cloud. And then that can be assigned to a particular device that will allow that device to obviously run through the next expiry of that unit. And credit history, again, within the cloud. So you can see where your credits have been assigned to, what devices, and that will tell you information with regard to when that credit was done. So you know how long that device is going to be broadcasting your data into the Comet cloud before you need to think about doing a resubscription to that. Fully configurable within the Comet cloud as well. And what we really like about the Comet cloud is the UI. It's so simple to use. It's so self-guiding. It's very difficult to make setup and configuration errors. And you have the ability to fully edit the device. So you can give the device a name. You can obviously change your frequency. You can even position coordinates so that when you have the coordinates assigned, you can see, for example, on the screen here, where your device is. So that might be useful if you have devices that are maybe being shared.
Steve, Steve, I'm going to hold you for a second, if that's okay, because you have 3 minutes left, and Helen has sent some questions in which you might want to answer, which is a question, which is how much data do the standalone loggers hold before they're full? Do they override earlier data or stop collecting
exactly
data
that? Yeah. So basically, you will have so many thousand sets of readings on the internal memory. And when you start getting to a point where if you haven't uploaded the data through the USB, then it will essentially start to overwrite the oldest data first. So let me just tell you very quickly exactly how many data points will come on one of those internal memory loggers. One moment, please.
And I'm so sorry, Steve. While you're finding out, I'll just give you the next question, which you
please
might
do.
be able to do yes or no. With the Comet software,
500,000 values to answer that question. 500,000 values in a non-cyclic logging mode.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a lot. That's great.
It is a lot. Okay, next
I was
question,
gonna say,
please.
with the Comet software, are the graph scales automatic and can they be manually set? And how many
they can be
sensors?
fully customized to suit how you would like your graph layout to appear. You can amend the colors, you can amend the axes on that as well. So obviously, what will be loaded out of the box, so to speak, will be the Comet default template, but everything within the Comet suite can be customizable to the requirements that people have that are using.
And my final question is, how many sensor traces can you view simultaneously on the Comet software?
Right, okay. So sensor traces, I mean, there is no limitation with regarding how many devices you can have on your Comet Cloud. So basically, you're governed by the credit history with the devices, but there's no minimum and there's no maximum with regard to the devices. And what I would just like to do very quickly is I'll skip through some of the Comet Cloud slides and just move straight onto the measure places, which of course we've seen from the other suppliers. A really good feature, just allows you to put a blueprint down of your environment, and then you can obviously interact with there and you can place your devices that allow you to see all that information in the one screen. And one other thing that I will just touch upon very quickly is you've got the Comet Cloud, which is a desktop browser, but you also have the Comet Cloud Lite for your Android and your iOS devices. And there's no additional charge for that. So if you have a Comet Cloud account, you can either log in through your browser, or you can have the Comet Cloud Lite app on your smartphone or your tablet and still have the same access to your devices and your reports on there.
Steve, I was going to say that was fantastic. I'm going to direct you though to the Q&A section where you can type your answers, because I think lots of people are really interested. We're going to take a 5-minute break, everyone, and then after the next people will be presenting will be Conserv. Thank you again.
Fantastic.
Steve.
Well, thank you very much for your time, everyone, this morning, and apologies for the little technical gremlin blip this morning. Thank you.
Don't you worry. I'm going to say, don't worry at all. We all had a lot of sympathy. I think we've all been there, Steve, so don't worry at all.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Hello, welcome back everyone. And our next presenter will be Conserv. So if you're ready, over to you.
All right, thank you. Hi everyone. We're Conserv, a modern environmental monitoring platform designed for cultural heritage by preservation professionals. I'm Dave Mason, I'm the CEO of Conserv, and I'm joined by Claire Winfield, our head of growth. A bit about me, I'm originally from London. I started my career in analytics before moving into the social enterprise and social impact space. I then spent a number of years building a company focused on preventive healthcare before joining Conserv. Claire, would you like to introduce yourself? You're muted.
Thanks, Dave. I'm Claire. I'm a conservator with more than a decade of benchwork experience in both private practice and museums. This includes time spent at the Art Institute of Chicago and 2 Smithsonian units. I also have 7 years of direct experience spearheading environmental monitoring.
So, yeah, Claire and I represent the two halves of Conserv. We're a mixture of preservation professionals and technology folks, and we use that mixture of perspectives every day as we develop our product. So Conserv provides everything you need to conduct an environmental monitoring program. We're trusted by thousands of institutions worldwide across both our free software and our end-to-end monitoring product. And we serve institutions of all shapes and sizes, including historical sites such as Fulham Palace and the US National Park Service, local, state, and national organizations, including Dublin City Council, the Smithsonian, and various state archives, universities and libraries, including Harvard and Yale, and museums, including Gothenburg Museum of Art and the Guggenheim. So whether you're a large organization with sophisticated requirements or a small site with staff who are stretched to the limit just handling the basics, the platform will save you time and it'll help you get more from your data than previous solutions you're used to. There's really 3 messages I want to make sure we communicate to you today. The first is that we're built for preservation. Cultural heritage is the only market we serve, and our focus means our platform is both more powerful for heritage use cases and easier to use. The second is that we're validated at scale. Many wireless monitoring products look good on paper, but they fail to deliver in practice, whether that's due to range, battery life, ease of use, security, or reliability. Our system works even in challenging collection environments, and we handle all the system maintenance to make sure your system is secure and future-proofed. And then finally, we're a comprehensive service. Our all-in model incentivizes us to support you to be successful and get the most out of our tools. Our customer experience team are all trained conservators, and we provide everything from implementation support to ongoing education and training. So our goal in this presentation is to prove each of these points to you, not only by showing the product, but also through examples from real customers. In terms of what we'll show you today, first we'll talk about our software. We'll start here because this is where many of our customers start, often by importing data into our free tools before they upgrade. Second, we'll talk about our devices, including our sensors, our new control product, and the tools we have for emergency response. Third, we'll talk about the non-technical aspects of our service, the support, our educational offerings, and our free community. And then finally, we'll wrap up by answering the remaining questions that have been posed by the ICON team, including our automated Hanwell data bridge and our pricing model.
So let's talk software. This quote from Tony really sums up our goals for Conserv's tools. Everything we build should be intuitive and helpful for you so that you can spend more time understanding your data and less time grappling with it. Our web app allows you to model your spaces into a clear hierarchy, from buildings to individual rooms and sensors, and set levels to assess the performance of those spaces. Here's our fully interactive analytics experience. This page lets you zoom in on problem areas and customize the view to your liking. You can annotate anomalies directly on the graph. And we use your levels to automatically calculate preservation metrics to assess risks for mold growth and chemical decay. We're showing temperature, relative humidity, and dew point here, but you can also graph the illuminance and UV data coming in from your Conserv sensors, as well as exterior weather. We provide both one-click reports for common reporting requirements, as well as custom reports that you can adapt to your or your recipient's preferences. We are also releasing the ability to schedule reports to send to stakeholders on a recurring basis. And yes, we do also provide everything you need for GIS reporting as well. We know that a lot of work in collections happens on the go, and our mobile app helps you spend more time in your collection and less time at your desk. In addition to viewing your data at any time, you can add observations, assess wireless connectivity, take spot readings, or download the data stored on the sensor. One thing that is unique to Conserv is our integrated pest management module. Instead of scribbling notes in binders on Excel sheets, you can log pests on your phone as you check your traps. We have a database of reference images, including the Dirty Dozen and lists from English Heritage. Because Conserv has no limit or extra charges for users in the software, you can get other staff members involved easily.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about our hardware. This quote from Gretchen shows what we're aiming for here. We want our hardware to just work. And whatever challenges you face, we've probably seen it before. For example, Gretchen described her building as a perfect Faraday cage because iron slag left over from steel production was used in the mortar of their stone building. After trying many different wireless solutions without success, she tried Conserv and was able to get up and running without issue. We designed our flagship sensor to address many gaps that we saw in the market. It measures temperature, RH, illuminance, UV, and shock, all in a single device. All of our sensors have exceptional range, outperforming Hanwell Pro in our testing. We use a top-of-the-line sensor component for temperature and humidity, which provides both high accuracy and low drift, meaning that calibration is not required as frequently. The form factor is elegant enough that curators are happy for it to be on the wall, and it's small enough for it to fit in display cases. If needed, we have paintable covers that can help the sensor truly blend in as well. And we also designed the sensor to be refurbishable. So when a sensor reaches the end of its useful life, its components are easily swapped out, so it's reused and avoids landfill. Setting up the equipment is easy enough that the majority of our customers do it themselves, although of course we're happy to help and come on site to assist with appropriate placement as well. This is often a real surprise to people, so we wanted to show it here. All you do is plug in our gateway, that's a receiver in Hanwell language, and it will quickly connect via the mobile network. Then all you need to do is pull the tab in the back of the sensor. The sensor beeps to tell you it's on and flashes green. Almost immediately, you'll get an email and start seeing data flowing into your account. And that's it. It's simple enough that no input from IT is required. Next, let's look at an example of the range we're able to achieve. So in this example, the gateway is located below ground with the sensor over 100 meters away in a gallery space. Despite several floors and a lot of concrete and steel in between the two, the message reliability we see here is over 99.9%. We do make range testing easy, so you can use our mobile app to check the signal strength for a given sensor as you're placing it. And then for the gateways, you can use the mobile networks, Wi-Fi, or Ethernet to connect to the gateway to the cloud. If you're using the mobile network, our device automatically selects the best network in range. And that means our system often works well in rural areas without internet access, and is a good choice if you need to upgrade from Hanwell's 3G base stations as well. Because the devices are managed across the LoRaWAN network, you don't need to worry about assigning IDs or frequencies, radio conflicts, or any of the other setup challenges that are present with older systems like Hanwell Pro. We handle all of that for you. We have a range of sensors for every scenario, including our outdoor sensors to measure the exterior environment, cold and cryo storage sensors, and a variety of leak detection options as well. On another note, we are excited to announce that our new smart control product is ready for beta. From the dozens of conversations we've had with UK institutions, we know that controls is a big concern and often requires a mix of complicated solutions. Smart control enables you to pair Conserv sensors with control devices like conservation heating and dehumidifiers, defining rules to achieve conservation and sustainability objectives. Like everything we offer, the devices are compact and minimize clutter. As you can see, the functionality allows you to view the interaction of the environment and your device over time and assess energy usage as well. Like everything else we build, Smart Control is integrated into the rest of our system, and it uses the same hardware to communicate.
Next, we'd like to talk about how Conserv helps in disaster scenarios and emergency situations. Tony, who we quoted earlier, quickly learned Conserv's value in this regard when a hurricane came through and she was able to remotely guide her emergency responders using our tools. Megan's quote here highlights another all too common scenario: a heater malfunction on a Friday night in the dead of winter. Conserv let her know about it right away, and she and her team were able to address it quickly. Our alerts are configurable and can be delivered by SMS or email. Because we offer unlimited users, you can subscribe anyone on your team to receive an alert, with their permission, of course. So for example, it's pretty common to have the facilities team signed up for alerts alongside the conservation team, so everyone is in the loop. We also let folks know when conditions return to normal, reducing alarm fatigue. And with our mobile app, the whole team can access the data remotely, so they have all the context they need, even when they're away from the building or their desk. We have a number of leak detection solutions for different use cases, including point detection for things like drip pans and a tape-based sensor for covering larger areas, so that when you have water ingress, you can act quickly.
Of course, for a system to be appropriate for emergency response, it needs to be reliable and always online. Our system has fail-safes built into every layer, including our hardware, the data pipeline, and the cloud infrastructure that supports our software. We process millions of readings per week, and we have billions of data points stored in the system, so it is built for scale and handles heavy load. And hand in hand with reliability is security. We take security very seriously and are deployed in areas with incredibly stringent security requirements, including federal governments and the military. We have local GDPR compliant data hosting and are Cyber Essentials certified. We also undertake rigorous third-party penetration testing each year. And crucially, because the system was built on the cloud from day one, no software upgrades or maintenance is required on your part. We are very familiar with working with IT teams to get approval for our system, and we'd be happy to work with yours as well.
As we transition to the questions posed by the ICON team, we wanted to close with this quote from Brianna. She covers it all in a nutshell. Everything we do, from our devices to the web and mobile apps to the support and resources that we provide, are all designed to work seamlessly together. And that is why we have customers like Brianna that love using our product. So now we'll cover the specific questions the ICON team have asked us to go over. First up, what support is available? The good news is that Conserv is known for its support. I encourage you to Google us or check your favorite forum, and you will see a large number of quotes from our customers recommending us for this very reason. One thing that is very different from other solutions is that we provide in-depth online support as part of your contract at no extra cost. We also have great online documentation if you want to figure things out all by yourself. That includes both technical guides and resources on conservation topics. Our support team are all trained conservators, meaning they understand both the technology side and the context that you're coming from. The end result is that people feel very supported when they use Conserv. We monitor our support team's performance carefully, including our response times and customer satisfaction scores. Over the past year, 100% of respondents have rated our support as easy. In addition to our free offerings, we also offer packages that include on-site installation and staff training, and we have a network of partners who can help with things like building assessments, mechanical system support, and planning. Here's an example of a recent quote from a customer who had a support question. They call out that we are helpful, courteous, respond quickly, and show genuine concern for their issues and questions. We also have a global community of practitioners that is completely free, whether you're a Conserv customer or not. We have webinars on a wide range of preservation topics, monthly Ask Me Anything sessions with industry experts, and an active community asking questions and sharing tips and tricks, including fellow conservators, registrars, entomologists, and facilities managers.
All right, next question. Can the data from other systems be transferred to Conserv? The short answer is yes. 2/3 of our customers are transferring from another system, so we have a robust data import feature for common data logger brands, including Hanwell. We know a lot of you have significant amounts of historical data that you don't want to lose. We don't charge for data storage, so you're welcome to bring all of that into Conserv, and we offer a service to help with that if you like. You can also use your existing data to try out our software completely free of charge. We have a free tier that allows you to import up to 60,000 rows of data per month. We're also excited to announce that we have an automated data transfer option for Hanwell EMS. This process allows you to pipe data from your Hanwell system directly into Conserv. And the best thing about it is that it's easy to set up. It can be done remotely without the need for engineers and without any changes to hardware. We are offering this for a small charge that will refund to you if you ultimately decide to upgrade to Conserv within 1 year. So it's a great option if you want to migrate your system over time. All right, next up, what are the costs for Conserv? So our standard model is an all-in-one subscription. What do we mean by all-in-one? Well, 3 things. First, predictable costs. We charge based on the number of devices that you have. There are no limits to the amount of data you use, the number of users, whether you use SMS alerts or not. It's simple pricing. It also fully covers the hardware, including batteries and calibration, a full warranty, and we don't charge separately for support. Second, the subscription means that everything is covered under a service contract, whereby we make a commitment to you about what our products do. If you have an issue, we're incentivized to fix it, and that won't cost you anything extra. Finally, it means that if for whatever reason you aren't happy with the service you're receiving, you can export your data and go with a different solution. You aren't locked in by an expensive capital commitment. A few other things to note. First, the subscription doesn't require annual payments. That is the most common choice, but we can do other payment plans to suit procurement preferences like upfront payment as well. Second, we offer a 60-day money-back guarantee to anyone who tries Conserv. If the system doesn't work for you, we'll pay for you to ship the equipment back and refund your subscription. Here's another example of what all-in pricing means. It's not uncommon for a Hanwell quote to run to 15 to 20 line items. With our model, all of that is condensed down just to a single price. And we've touched on this a couple of times already, but I also want to call out the fact that we have a free tier, so you can use our software, the community, and our online resources all for free. For larger organizations, you get a dedicated customer success manager, and we'll also help you import your historical data. With that said, I also want to note that for smaller organizations using cloud-hosted Hanwell, you can save money immediately by switching to us. And if you are a larger organization that needs a lot of sensors, there are volume discounts available. So if you're curious about Conserv, but also some of the other solutions that have presented today, here's an example of how you could try Conserv before you buy. First, I encourage you to sign up for the free software and import some of your data. That would allow you to play around with some of our tools. If that's working for you, you can try out our automated data pipeline from Hanwell EMS, so you can get data flowing consistently into Conserv. And then you could try piloting our hardware, and we encourage people to put us in the problem areas that have been tricky to work in the past, and really put us through the ringer. And also remember that if you have a 60-day money-back guarantee if those devices don't work for you. And then finally, if all of that is working well, then you could proceed with a full deployment, potentially continuing to migrate over time as budget allows. So if you're interested in finding out more, we'd love to hear from you. We are planning a deep dive webinar for next week, so feel free to sign up for that. If you are interested, you can scan the QR code on screen. We also know that choosing a new system can be daunting. It is an opportunity to pick a solution that will work for you for years to come. And so with that in mind, we do also have a buyer's guide to environmental monitoring that contains a list of questions you can ask yourself and your team to determine which is the right solution for you, whether that's Conserv or something else. And you can also find that by scanning the QR code. And then finally, as we mentioned a number of times, we do have a number of products and content that are totally free. And we also have links to those behind the QR code as well. Thank you so much for your time, and we're looking forward to answering some questions.
Can I say,
Great.
Dave, that was absolutely brilliant. We can see there's one question in the chat, which is from Helen, and it said, do all your smart sensor devices include all the sensors, temperature, relative humidity, lux, UV, and shock? Are there cheaper loggers available with fewer sensors included?
Great question. So our flagship sensor is the one that does all of those. The more specialty sensors, so like the exterior sensor, the cold and cryo storage sensors, are just doing temperature and humidity. And so it does vary a little bit based on the use case, but the core sensor does all of those. And right now we don't have a cheaper version that does fewer things. Again, we try and keep our pricing simple.
Great. And Dave, your colleague Nathan has been really proactive in answering a number of questions online. So we want to highlight this to the people who are listening and watching. So from an anonymous attendee, we had somebody ask about, you mentioned your system monitors energy use. And Nathan did answer that in terms of energy use monitoring is currently limited to devices using the Conserv smart control. But there was a follow-up question from Bhavesh Shah, which is the energy use logged as well?
Yes, so the way that this is working is you plug in a device to our smart control unit that's then plugged into a wall socket, and the device is measuring the energy use from the device that is connected to it. And so that's how we're measuring energy use, and that is why Nathan said it's limited to device using smart control, because it's the device itself that is measuring the energy use, if that makes sense.
We got one question from Nick, which has just come in, and he says, outside of the sensor and gateway, there's no additional traditional IT infrastructure required to complement your solution. Correct? ? In terms of resilience, oh yes, I'll let you answer that, and then you continue.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, so that is correct. And I see the question, so I can keep going. So yes, very simple from that standpoint. Just the sensor and the gateway. If in terms of outage, yes, the sensors are storing all of the data on their devices. So you can always go and get that data if there is some outage. The gateways also have battery backup. You can also plug in them into other backup options as well. And then because mobile networks is an option for connectivity, even in the event of a localized power outage, you'll still be getting data to the cloud as well. So that's when I mentioned fail safes. We do have multiple fail safes along the path from device to cloud to make sure that data keeps flowing.
I also just typed in a response. A couple people have asked about data hosting. So our data is hosted either in Ireland or the US, sort of in multiple regions, but your choice of where you want that data to reside.
Great. And we have a question from Helen Smith. Do you have a standalone logger option suitable for transport, etc.?
Yeah, so we have a number of we don't have one that we kind of produce ourselves. We can definitely integrate with options on the market. We'd be happy to sort of talk through some of the options that we could integrate with there.
Brilliant. And one from Andrew Calver. He has asked, are you smart building compliant?
So I have to confess, I'm not sure about that. So we can kind of get back to you on that question, Andrew.
Brilliant. I can't see any more questions for you. Does anyone have any more questions? I can't. I'm going to say thank you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. We would now take, and thank you, Conserv. We will now take a 5-minute break, and after the 5-minute break, Eltec will be up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
would you let me welcome Eltec, I believe
Hi.
in.
Yeah.
Yep, we can see your slides. Perfect.
Can you? Right, that's clever.
Yeah.
Right. Letty, I can't get the sound to share.
I think it should work.
It's grayed out.
We can hear you. I think that means it's working. If it's got a red line through, then that means you're muted. But grey should mean you're able to be heard.
I will let me just try this then, because I don't think it's, because this is pre-recorded and it is just not working.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, it is.
My name is Brian Clarkstone. I'm the Managing Director of Eltec Limited. I'd just like to start by saying thank you to Icon for giving. Eltec was founded 40 years ago in the village of Haslingfield, just outside Cambridge in the UK. We design and manufacture all of our products in our facility in Haslingfield. We specialise in providing end-to-end solutions to fulfil customer requirements. We specialise in the museums and heritage sector, but also in laboratory and all other industries.
We're having problems. Sorry about this. Let me talk over this. So this is just showing our standard what's going on? Right, this is showing our standard software, which is Darker Connect browser-based software. And each user has a unique dashboard that is available to them and they can configure very readily. You can have charts with multiple parameters on. You can set the x-axis and the y-axis. You can have gauges, which indicate alarm statuses, and you can have floor plans. If we move on, we can see how you can then drill into the detail for each plan, for each area of the system.
For example, the latest values screen gives you access to data from all locations on the site that you're permitted to see. You can select which values you wish to view from a simple drop-down menu. And then on the screen, you can either view as a table or as a series of gauges or cards, the data coming from each of the sensors. As you can see on this screen, some of the readings are marked in yellow and some are in red. The yellow indicates that the reading is in the threshold region, and the red that it is already in alarm. When an alarm is triggered, you can get an SMS message sent to you or an email telling you of the situation. It's very straightforward to configure those thresholds. You can do an across the site threshold setting for any particular parameter. So for instance, you might want to set relative humidity to trigger some sort of alarm at RH of 60%. And then you can go into individual locations and adjust that for the particular situation there. One of the screens that people use a lot is the zone chart screen. This screen is packed with lots of different features, so I'll try and take you through some of them. You can set the time scale to a day, a week, a month, a year, or you can set a custom time scale for yourself. You can show any parameter that's being monitored as a chart. You can choose how that looks on the display. You can show the thresholds and the alarm levels. You can also show calculated parameters. So Eltec provides some calculated parameters, such as fluctuations or dew point, and these can be displayed, but you can also calculate your own parameters. For instance, you might want to see average lux or something like that. The thresholds we mentioned. The other really useful thing is overlay and compare. Overlay allows you to overlay readings from different parts of the site, so you can compare readings there. And compare allows you to look at different time periods. So you might want to look at the same parameter that was measured a week ago or a day ago or a year ago and overlay them to see how they compare. This is really useful when looking at annual trends. You can add notes to the chart. You can see I've added a little note on this one. Those notes can be displayed as a list, and you can review them. And then if you're interested in particularly drilling into a note that somebody else might have written, you can click on that note and it will pull up the display of the chart that relates to. Finally, you can print or you can save to PDF or you can email any of the charts. And indeed, this feature appears on most of the screens within Darker Connect. Now, moving on to the Eltec hardware. Each monitoring point will have an Eltec sensor transmitter located at it. The sensor transmitter uses wireless telemetry. This isn't Wi-Fi, this has excellent range. In an open space, you'd have 2 to 3 kilometers of range. Within a museum, that might come down to a few hundred meters. That signal gets transmitted to the receiver base station, which logs that data securely and then transmits it directly to the cloud using LTE-M mobile data technology. The advantage of that is this proven technology is designed for this type of application and can penetrate through buildings very well. Battery life of the sensor transmitters is very good. If the transmitter is sending its data every 5 minutes, then you'll get 4 to 5 years of battery life from that unit. This isn't a lithium battery system. This uses ordinary AA alkaline batteries. So you can purchase those very easily. They're low cost and much better in terms of environmental disposal. And one of the other advantages is if you have to ship sensors overseas for touring exhibitions, for example, shipping of alkaline batteries is much simpler than trying to ship systems with lithium batteries in. The system's resilient in the event of a power failure. The receiver logger and the repeaters are mains powered, but they also have battery backup. And in the event of a power failure, you'll get 12 hours of continued logging and transmission of data to the cloud. You'll also get notified that there's been a power cut, and if the power cut endures for nearly 12 hours, you'll also get a message to say the system is about to safely shut down. The most recent piece of hardware that Eltec has developed is the Hanwell to Eltec bridge. And this has been designed in response to Hanwell's announcements that they're ceasing manufacture of the Hanwell Pro range of products and withdrawing support from EMS software at some point in the future. The Hanwell to Eltec bridge allows you to keep your existing Hanwell loggers, but migrate to the Eltec logging system. So if you are buying a completely new system, or if you are removing your old system and installing Eltec from scratch, then this is a system diagram to show you what you have. You have sensor transmitters sending their data wirelessly to the base station, and the base station sending its data through the LTE-M network to the cloud. And from the cloud, you have Darker Connect. So you can log in using your preferred browser, such as Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, and then with a username and password and two-factor authentication, if you choose to use that, you can access the data that you are allowed to see from your logon. You can have up to 125 transmitters sending data to one base station, but you can have as many base stations as you like. So there's no real limit in practical terms to the number of sensor transmitters you have on a site. And in fact, they don't all have to be in the same location. We have Darker Connect setups that have receiver base stations in many countries across the world, all in one system. So for instance, if you had a traveling exhibit, you could send a sensor base station with it and let's say, I don't know, 10, 20 transmitters sending their data to that base station. And that data would feed into the same system as you had in the main museum, for instance. So moving on now, I will show you an example of how the system would work if you were migrating from a Hanwell system. You have your Hanwell sensors going to a Hanwell receiver and sending their data to the Hanwell EMS software. What we can simply do is put the Eltec bridge in a close location to where the receiver from Hanwell is currently located, and also put an Eltec receiver base station nearby too. The bridge will pick up the data from the Hanwell sensors, forward it on to the Eltec receiver base station, which sends its data to the cloud. And Darker Connect will display the data from the Hanwell sensors in exactly the same way as it does for the Eltec devices. So you can also add Eltec devices at some point in the future, either to expand the system or simply to replace Hanwell sensors. And if you choose to, you can run both systems in parallel. Maybe during the transition from the old system to the new system, you may want to see how the performance operates with both systems in place. We were very excited to recently receive this email from Sophie Rowe at the Fitzwilliam Museum, where we've been beta testing one of the Hanwell to Eltec bridge systems. They've got over 90 Hanwell sensors dotted around the museum, and we were able to install 2 of these bridge devices in the Fitzwilliam Museum and 2 of our receiver base stations, and the data goes directly to a Darker Connect site, which the Fitzwilliam team are able to access. And as you can see, it looks like they're pretty pleased with the system they've got. Now, moving on to the specific questions that we were asked, one of which was, is there leak detection available? Well, the straight answer to that is yes, we have leak sensors. We can integrate that into the system very readily, but we also have a plethora of different things we can integrate into systems. And in museums, for example, we've put air quality monitoring systems in place. We've got special sensors in place, for instance, for anoxia treatments. We can measure temperatures in fridges and freezers, and we can also monitor things like power usage if required. We can have weather stations on the roof. All of these things are quite possible within the Eltec system. The next question was specifically about the creation of reports, and we're able to create a variety of reports that can be either directly viewed, printed, or emailed, or we can set up automated reports to be emailed at intervals of the user's choice. Our reports are divided up into many categories, as you can see here: statistics, hardware, etc. We have focused on trying to get data in a format that's useful for GIS reporting, and the statistics report specifically does that, where you can see the minimum, the maximum, the standard deviation, the average, the time of the first minimum, time of the first maximum, a count of how often data may get missed, and various other parameters, all against the location and the serial number of the specific sensor. To add an extra sensor to our system, if it's a wireless device, then we use the existing Eltec software that's provided. If you want to add a logging device, so this would be a standalone temperature humidity sensor which can log, we can also do that. The software provided allows you to upload data to the Darker Connect system when you periodically go to that sensor to download the data from it. Eltec sensors are designed to be calibrated and serviced readily, hence their very long life in situations such as museum sites. There's a variety of options for calibration. They can be returned to Eltec if you wish, or more frequently they would be returned to the distributor or installer who put the system in. In our case, that would be typically DTEC Pro. There are alternatives for in-house calibration. we can sell you software to do that, and you can use your own relative humidity salts, and we can train you how to do that if you prefer. Or finally, one other option is it's very simple to remove the sensor element and replace it with a new or reconditioned unit. And we're able to assess the sensors that have been removed and provide a report on the performance of those sensors at the point of removal. We have a number of case studies that we're very happy to share with you that are specific to the museums and heritage sector. We've got a big system at the Natural History Museum in London. One of our more recent systems is up at Perth in Kinross. That's Darker Connect system. The Fitzwilliam, which we've already mentioned, has the Hanwell to Eltec bridge. And an example of another Darker Connect system that we recently installed would be at the National Archives in Ireland. Well, as we've already said earlier, we have got a solution for supporting Hanwell customers using our BRI 250 bridge product. I won't explain that again, but it does allow everyone to have a gradual transition away from Hanwell, should that be a budgetary requirement. We feel it's a sustainable option. It allows you to use your existing equipment if it's not at the end of its useful life, but it also gives you the security of having a replacement immediately available in the form of the Eltec devices. We can provide support both for Eltec and Hanwell through our specialist distributor DTEC Pro, who are familiar with both the Eltec system and also calibration of Hanwell transmitters. Eltec is able to offer support regarding control and conservation heating. We have a number of options to offer. We have multiple sites with the RC250 receiver that interfaces to building management systems. Most commonly the trend using the Modbus RS485 system. We have a number of sites dotted across the country that use that. As an alternative, we have a product called the HC16, which is a special version of our receiver base station that has built-in relays. And these relays can be connected to contactors for switching on parts of a heating system or a dehumidifying system, and can be controlled from our Darker software. Finally, we've got custom options. We specialize in responding to specific inquiries from customers, and we can provide a custom solution, should that be desired. Eltec will be offering a service to import data from customers' Hanwell systems. We have a variety of options for that. If you are able to export data from your existing system, I think typically this would be in the form of CSV files, we can import it. If we have access to the SQL data file from Hanwell EMS, then we can also import it from there. And in some ways that would be a lot simpler for customers if they have access to that information. Once it's been imported, it's completely seamless. So the data will appear as just another channel of data that you would view in exactly the same way as the Eltec data. Because of the way that the Darker Connect software works, there isn't really any limit on the amount of data we can import into the system. There may be an increasing cost for larger and larger sets of data, but we have systems with many tens of gigabytes of data operating now. Eltec can provide support either on an ad hoc basis or through a service contract. Typically that would be through DTEC Pro, our specialist museums and heritage distributor. We can also provide repair services, calibration, upgrades, site surveys, and spares. Again, normally this would be done through DTEC Pro, But for larger sites, we work together so that we can provide a better scale of service to our customers. An Eltec system has two elements of cost. One is the initial hardware cost, and the other is the annual software subscription. And in addition to that, you may have an annual support contract. The hardware lasts for many, many years. Typical systems last for at least 15 years. So you can amortize your hardware costs over a substantial period.
Right, thank you, everybody. That concludes our presentation. We're happy to take questions now.
Can I say that was absolutely wonderful? I was going to say you do have a question from Mark, which is Eltec, would you consider developing a standalone external humidistat controller for local conservation heating systems, similar to Hanwell CH1 humidistat and switching box system, where portable humidifiers, dehumidifiers and heaters could be plugged into? Sorry, that was a very long question, but...
No, it's a good question. We have certainly looked at the CH1 that Hanwell manufactured. It is something we've put on our list of things to consider. I wouldn't say a definite yes, but it is certainly well within our scope in our custom manufacturing capability, and we would build it in response to demand.
I was going to say thank you so much. That's excellent. If there's any more questions, please put them in the chat. But I was going to say Benedict has been brilliant in answering many of the questions already. So just to recap some of the questions we had, Eltec, can you graph absolute humidity and compare absolute humidity data with other sensors? And obviously Benedict has replied, yes, there are facilities for calculated channels. Please do reach out. And obviously he's given the sales at Eltec data loggers, Eltec data loggers, and they can walk through it. Eltec, can you operate your software and data at a locally stored system rather than storing data in the cloud for those without good cloud connectivity? And they said, Benedict has replied, yes, it can be locally hosted. Oh, hold on. And we just have a question from Helen, which is, Eltec, you mentioned being able to export a base station together with sensors for a traveling exhibition. Do the sensors hold data until they are reconnected, and how much data?
Yeah, well, you've got a choice. We can have sensors that we call logmitters that are a combination of a transmitter and a logger, and they hold 800,000 data points. So you would get 400,000 RH and 400,000 temperature. Or if it was a Lux UV sensor, a similar situation, and they can be transported around, and 400,000 data points is enough for anybody, I think.
Great, thank you. We've got a couple more questions as well. One from Andy. So what are your subscription costs, and what can you buy outright, and what requires an annual subscription? Can you, for instance, buy the system outright and then add support costs as required?
Yes, we can. I mean, we're flexible in every direction, I would say. So we recognise that some people are grant funded, so would want to do a one-off payment up front for a multi-year contract, or vice versa. Some people might want to spread the cost. So just as a sort of reference point, I guess, our basic system of a base station and 5 temperature humidity sensors, the upfront hardware cost for that is around about £2,900, and then there's an annual cost of about £560 a year. As you go larger, the per unit cost reduces substantially. So a 30 temperature sensor system, the upfront cost is just under 14,000. And the annual cost is about 950 a year. And as I say, we can either do a amortized version of that, or we can do an upfront cost version of that, whichever is appropriate in the budgeting scenario.
Brilliant. Thank you, Brian. I've got a couple more. The next one is, So are there other sensors available that would integrate to your system? He's particularly interested in detecting pollutants such as acidic gases from bad showcase materials, for example.
Yeah, well, our air quality unit can monitor VOCs, NO2s, carbon monoxide, but we could also customize it to add other specific gases using different chemical sensors. It's able to accommodate different types of chemical sensors. That product's called the AQ110.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. That was really, really interesting. There are a couple more questions in the chats in the question and answer. So if you're able to pop back in and answer those, I think Benedict might actually be doing it as we speak, which is wonderful. So thank you, Benedict. But yeah, just to say thank you very much, and we'll be back in 5 minutes with Meaco.
Thank you.
Samantha and Michael, are you ready?
We are ready. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear and see you. You're looking fantastic. Take it away.
First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's been a really interesting morning, and I'm sure everybody's taken lots of information away with them. A quick introduction. I'm Samantha, this is Michael, and this is Jacob.
Hello.
And together the three of us are the core of Meaco Measurement Control. For anybody that hasn't heard of us before, back in 1991, a guy called Chris Michael developed the first wireless monitoring system specifically for museums. And then in 2005, Michael was his sales manager at the time, and Chris offered us the opportunity to purchase the museum side of his business, and Meaco Measurement and Control was born. What do? We work with museums. We only work with museums. We don't do anything with pharma or manufacturing. So everything that we do is targeted to collections care. We work with a lot of different size organisations. So we'll work with your local heritage centres, we work with archives, we work with stately homes, and right up to the large national institutions, so English Heritage, National Maritime Museum, that type of thing. So lots of interesting locations, lots of interesting challenges. And because we work with such a range, we don't do a one size fits all. So it could be you come to us with your system requirements, it could be that data loggers are the best way, or it could be that it's Wi-Fi loggers that work on your existing Wi-Fi system, or it could be the Meaco full wireless monitoring system, which again, even in that has options. So you've got different transmitter types, different ways of sending data to the cloud. So we look at every project very as much as an individual project and put together something that will help you to achieve your goals. So we do the monitoring and we also do the control. So we do control with regards to the actual units. So we are mainly selling for the Broom evaporative humidifiers and the Meaco dehumidifiers, which Chris Michael, who started the whole thing, has made his millions from. Brilliant units, you'll see them everywhere. In fact, probably most people have seen a Meaco dehumidifier somewhere. So we do the actual control units and we also do controllers. So we've got standalone controllers. So we've got a conservation heating humidistat, which is standalone. You put your oil-filled radiator in and it will control that for you with the humidity. We have a wireless version of that. So you can use your controller with one of your wireless telemetry transmitters. And we've also got an extra bit of kit that will enable you to use your Meaco transmitters with your BMS systems. So that's controlling heating systems. We've got systems where the Meaco transmitters actually control underfloor heating, that kind of heating system that's not just a standalone unit that's just going to be plugged in and have a dehumidifier attached to it. So that's the core of what we've done, and we've done that for 20 years and 15 days. So we must be doing something right. But we're always looking forward. We're always looking at new technology and how to make everything a little bit easier for everybody. So at the moment, we do have some third-party sensors that we are beta testing out in the field. They will include leak detection sensors, and they will also help you with your monitoring that's out of range of your radio system. So it might be that it's a lone item, it might be that it's a remote store, it might be that it's in transport. They will work on the cellular system, but again, they're out in the field. We've got 10 out in the field at the moment. We've put them in the most awkward places and we get some really good results for those. And the beauty of those is that they do come straight back to your Meaco software. So it's not, although it's a third-party sensor, it is actually coming straight to us. So we don't have to export data, import data into the system. It's all seamless for you anyway. So that's kind of the systems that we do. We didn't think we could go through the hardware. We've got examples if anybody wants to see it, things like that. We thought that out of all that, obviously the radio systems what you were going to be most interested in. So we decided we'd actually do a live demo for you. So Michael's going to go through and show you in real time what it is that the wireless system does. This is the second iteration of the Meaco cloud software. So if you've seen it before, used it before, this will be different. Again, at the moment, it's coming to the end of its beta test. It has most of the functions are there. We've taken a lot of feedback and a lot of suggestions, and I'm still taking those from our lovely customers that have given up their time to play with this system alongside their own. And that's the beauty of this system is being developed from the ground up with the help and support and suggestions of 20 years of experience of your frustrations. And will always be that way. That's the way that Meaco's always been. It's always suggestions that sort of come from you. We can come up with anything we think's great, but if it's no use to them, then it doesn't get included. So yeah, there might be some things in there that you think, oh, can it do this? Can it do that? The answer is probably yes, and it's probably on the 17 flip chart sheets that we've got, which is our plans for the future. So do ask any questions or make any suggestions, and they'll get added to the sheets if they're not already on there. So I will shut up now, and I will hand you over to Michael, and he's going to show you the Meaco cloud software.
Hello, I'm here. Right, our platform is a cloud-based platform, so I am going to do this live, so please bear with me. Let's get this up. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to log into our cloud platform as an administrator. We have multiple types of users. I'm going to log in as an admin because we've got extra features that a user can't see, and it's probably most people will be administrators of their system. So I'm just going to log in, and when we log in, here is a view that some people might be familiar with. It's what we use on the existing software, which is fine. This view is great if you've got a few transmitters, because you can see what is happening pretty much in an instant. We've got readings, 13 minutes ago for some Lux and UV, and some 4 minutes ago. So this view gives you a quick snapshot of what is happening. It shows you the status of the batteries of any transmitters. If you've got a low battery, it'll flag it up as a low battery. You can see if there's any active alarms available. They'll be highlighted. Transmitters will be highlighted in amber if it's an amber alert, or red if it's a red alert. And if you get any timeouts, they'll be highlighted in black. We've also got a historical data button. I should come on to that in a minute. Each transmitter has also got an option. So you can go in, you can edit transmitter, change the name, its details, etc. You've also got an import data button. I will go into that in more detail later. And you can change the alarm settings for that individual transmitter. If you don't like this view, so let's say you've got lots of... Sorry, can you not hear me, Jerry?
Sorry, Jerry.
If you've got lots of transmitters, this view is not particularly useful. So you are able to customize your view to suit your preferences. So I'm going to go into this new view, and this gives me an easier way to view more transmitters. If you've got multiple sites, you can flick around between multiple sites, and you can sort all your data, ID number, name, location, battery type, value, whatever values you want, you can sort them. So each receiver has got its own options. So in here, you can add and edit existing notes. You've got the bulk alarm settings. So if we go in here and let's say we want to just edit or add some alarms for just temperature and humidity, it will highlight all the sensors on the system that are temperature and humidity, select them, and you've got a couple of choices. You can add either the default set of alarms, which gives you a high critical, high, low, low critical, both temperature and humidity, and you just pop your values in there. Select if you want an email, a highlight, or a notification, so the sound popping up. Or if you don't want it to be that complicated, you could just create your own, and as many alarm settings as you want. If you just want an alarm to say, I've got a high temperature, just let me know, send me an email, don't alert me on screen, you can do that. It's easy peasy. Let's go back to receivers. Also, the receivers we've got, I'm going to cover both of these. We've got, if you want to add new transmitters to your system, we've got an auto detect function. So if you've got your existing system, you buy a new transmitter, you enable the auto detection, and it will, when the transmitter transmits, it will automatically go, oh, you have a new transmitter. Do you want to add the details? Or if you want to preempt that, you can manually add transmitters. Click on there, choose the type, give it a name, the ID, if you know what it's going to be, it'll be on the back of the transmitter anyway. Put the ID in, give it a bit length, and put, if you want to, allocate a location for it. We have locations because they allow you sort of hierarchical locations, so you can have parents and children. So the idea is if you've got lots of transmitters, you can filter and search for an individual gallery space, an individual building, and it just sort of gets rid of all the ones you're not interested in. As an admin user, you've also got a calibration tool. So you can do, if you wanted to, customers can calibrate their own kit, and you can apply calibration settings to the individual transmitters, which allows you to put in an offset for adjustments, basically. So that is available on the system as standard. There's no extra charge for that. You've also got, in the side menu, you've got a user button. So from here, you can have as many users as you want. You can allocate permissions for individual users. So if you've got, let's say, a third-party facilities guy who just wants to see the ambient conditions, you could just choose individual transmitters for that person, and then you just assign their permissions, and they can, when they log in, they can see just those sensors. If this is your hierarchy for locations, so you can add as many locations as you want. You can edit them, delete them. This is, as I say, pretty good for filtering out and hiding the stuff you don't want to look at, and just trying to get down to the nitty-gritty that you want. Let's go back to receivers. Right, that's the boring stuff out of the way. Graphing. So that's what we're all interested in. We're all interested in data. So I'm going to click on this one. Here is a graph for the last 30 days for our transmitter. By default, it will show you temperature and humidity. You can overlay graphs multiple times. At the minute, there is no limit. You might push your browser. You can add annotations. Here we have a spot annotation because there's a new dehumidifier gone in. You can add an annotation that covers a period of time. Let's say exhibition changeover, the data's a bit weird. Let's change it. You've also got in here options to change the graph. You can show annotations, hide annotations, show alarm thresholds, show dew point, rate of change, daily diurnal. Graph settings, you can have loads of settings. Auto scaling, use the fine scale. If you wanted to, you can add bands as well to make it look pretty. Sorry. Date selection, we've got some quick dates. I'm rattling through this because it seems to be a lot. 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months last year. Or you can just freely choose whatever dates you want. I'm going to go 4. Let's do it. That's 12 months. See what happens. There we go. 12 months worth of data. Now, what we also have is in this menu area, we will have the current version has a reported tool. This version does not yet, but it will be transferred over. So we have a reported tool that. Oh, sorry, that's Ushka. So we have a reporting tool. When you go into the reporting function, you choose what transmitters you're interested in. You choose your time band. You choose your upper and lower settings. So we have a lower temperature of 16, upper temperature of 22, lower RH, upper 60. Run report, spits out a lovely visual like this. So it gives you your max mean, and your max min mean, and percentage of time within that target. In hours and a percentage and a visual display. It also gives you the number of events you've breached, you've gone above your target and below. You can export that, save that as an image, do whatever you want. This will be automated in the new version. So you set it up once, and then you can have it through on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis. Oh, sorry, there's Ushka again. Right, back to this. So we've had the questions. Calibration, you can do it in-house. We can do it. That is not a problem. it's up to you. We offer a service plan that will help you with that. How can we help Hanwell customers? We are also looking at, we have a Hanwell receiver. So basically you can use the system to view Hanwell data as such. So if you've got Hanwell transmitters already as part of your system, you don't need to replace all your hardware. You just need one of our Hanwell receivers, and it will send data to our platform. So yeah, so we can help you. You can still use all the calibration tools and the functions that we have, and then you just So the idea is you don't have to replace them. You just need a new receiver. We can't provide support for Hanwell EMS because that is proprietary equipment, and we can't provide support for Hanwell receivers, but we can use their data. If you've got existing data, you can import it. So here on an individual transmitter, you could do this individually. You click on the import data button, select your provider, choose your file, import data. It will just upload. We don't charge extra for the amount of data you store. We don't have any limits on the amount of data you store. We don't have any limits on the amount of data you can view. It's unlimited. Okay. We offer several support packages. You don't have to have them. So you buy the kit up front, so as part of an initial cost, and then you've got it. That's yours for 15 to 20 years. That's no problem. Then we offer, you need cloud hosting, which can range from anywhere from £165 upwards, depending on the size of your system. Again, that's no limit on the amount of data, number of users. We provide a service plan where we could take care of annual servicing, which includes calibration, battery changes, training, and all the things like that. Or you can have us on an ad hoc basis, and we'll come out to you at a daily rate plus expenses. Or if I can fix it, or if we can fix it during the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee, we won't actually charge you. Costs wise, it is a one-off cost for your software, an annual cost for your hosting and your service plan. So we try and keep it as simple. So you don't have to have a service plan. You do need hosting going forward. There we go. That's it. Let's unshare screen. Let's stop sharing.
Top right hand corner is it out? Then we do click on that.
Oh, no, that's too good.
You stuck it. What you should
How do we stop sharing, Letty?
Well, I was going to say, let's leave the cat up because, to be honest, we love the cat.
Yeah,
So,
cats are good.
You know what? We always love a picture of a pet here, and we were all showing each other pictures of our cats while we were listening. So I was going to say, so you've obviously got the question, Meaco, can you plot and compare absolute humidity data?
We can do. It's just a calculated value, so that's not a problem. We can add dew point. We've got rate of change coming. You can have all of that added.
Perfect.
There we go. Stop
and
sharing.
then someone said, not sure if you've said this before, as sound is a bit muffled, which
Sorry.
are you CE compliant in the UK?
Yes. Or
Perfect.
UKCA, as it should be.
Yes.
UKCA. There we go. Excellent. Does the hierarchy just have parents and children? Oh, hold on. Sorry, I've just had a look. Or can you have grandchildren and great-grandchildren to be able to monitor, for example, a showcase in a gallery in a zone in a building? Like that.
If you want that granularity.
Perfect.
So don't make it too complicated for yourself.
Yeah, I agreed with that. Agreed. Helena, I'm trialing a light UV data logger that Meaco very kindly loaned me. It reads in, oh God.
Watts per lumen per squared.
There we go. Which
It's
means
microwatts per meter squared.
Yep, which means it mostly shows 0.00. Can it be changed to read microwatts per meter squared, or better still, microwatts per lumen?
The T&D, whose data logger that is, are currently scratching their heads and thinking about it for you. They were a bit confused about why you'd want it, because that's not something that they've been asked for before. And now it's like, well, we all want that in the museum sector. So they are currently, the techies are having a think, shall we put it that way. So not at the moment, but that is something that they're, now they realise it's something that we need, they are looking into that for you.
Perfect. Great answer. Can you go over the COT again, perhaps? Can you go over the COT?
Yeah, so essentially, if you buy the hardware, it's a one-off cost for year one. So let's say if you had like a standard 5 sensor, everybody seems to be picking 5, so let's go for 5. You have a one-off cost, 5 sensor system, it costs you just over £3,000. That includes sensor, receiver, and cloud hosting for 12 months. Installation, 3-year warranty, it's all included. So there's nothing hidden from that. After your first 12 months, then you'll need to have hosting, which for a 5-point system would be £165 a year. If you want a service plan, then we can arrange a service plan so that I would come out on site and service the system, calibrate it, and change batteries, training, all that good stuff. Or you could do it yourself.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And then from Helen, I see that Meaco software can import Testo data, among others. Is Meaco still a UK distributor for Testo? And
Yes.
is the Testo system an option which Meaco still supplies and supports?
Yes.
Yes. So the Testo Wi-Fi loggers, we still are the distributor of those in the museum sector. And yes, we still sell and support. They are used in a large organisation over multiple sites. And again, even though they aren't actually, so they don't use our software, but we can import that data. But the Wi-Fi loggers, although they're not a Testo, although they're not a Meaco actual manufactured product, Michael still does the service visits for those as well. So he will go out and service third-party sensors as well. So you know, basically, he'll do anything for money.
All right.
But yeah, Testo, we are still the distributor for the museum sector for the Testo Wi-Fi loggers.
Perfect. And we've got a question from Nikki, which is, what is the cost of the conservation heating setup?
I'm just going to answer Mark's question first, if that's okay, because he's asking about a conservation humidistat. We don't, so the LEE is obsolete because the control is not made anymore. So we've made our own conservation heating humidistat. It's got a hyperclip sensor, super accurate. I'm not going to get anything more accurate than this. Plug it in, set it up, put your settings in, connect your dehumidifier, your heat source or whatever, away you go. Standalone device. Nikki, what is the cost of the conservation heating setup? Is this a standalone device or a complete BMS type system? Standalone. How much are these?
666. So 666, and that's everything. So that's your high put sensor, which is accurate to plus or minus 0.8% RH.
0 to 100%.
Which is why we use that one, because obviously with control, you need it to be as accurate as possible. So this one will do conservation heating. It will also do your humidifier, dehumidifier combo as well.
Sorry, Derek.
Is that the
Oh, we've got one more. If you can answer it quickly, can we get an example cost for basic setup, please?
Yeah, 3,125 for receiver, 5 sensors, cloud software, installation, training, delivery. Have I covered everything? That's for year one. Do you want me to type that in?
Perfect. That would be even better if you type it in. That'd be brilliant. I was going to say, and we come to the end of our time. Thank you so much. I was going to say, before the recording goes out to everyone, what I can do is I will not edit anything you said, but I will edit the sound. So hopefully it will be, and that'll be easy peasy to do. No, it's easy peasy. So what I can do is that. You guys, we heard you very clearly over here, but we're just making sure. I'll just double check with everyone else.
Okay.
Thank you so much for everything. That was brilliant. We're going to have a 5-minute break and we will be on to our final presenter, which will be Tinytag. Thank you, everyone. And last, but by no means least, we have Tinytag. Kerry, are you ready to rock and roll? Tinytag. Oh. Anyone from Tinytag? Oh, yeah, perfect. Cool.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Terry. We can hear you. We can't see your presentation anymore, but we can hear you.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Okay. Okay, we good?
Excellent.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. I know it's been an amazing morning, and I'm sure everybody's very keen to move on to some lunch, so I will be as succinct as I can be. Luckily, I have got some great technical people on the Q&A. So as I'm going through the presentation, if you do have any questions while I'm going through it, I do have some support there. We'll be answering the questions as we roll through. So I'm Kerry Christensen-Jones. I am the Key Account Manager here at Tinytag, and I have been here for about 2 years. So I'm sure some people may know about our heritage. We have been existing in this marketplace for about 40 years. We started in 1984. We're based on the south coast in Chichester. And interesting, our humble beginnings started with our owner devising an electronic piece of equipment that would be used inside the little plastic film canister holders that Fuji and Kodak used to produce. Obviously, things were moving digitally and they were becoming defunct. So our first ever venture into the logger market was a tiny little electronic temperature logger that was used extensively then from that point onwards in the healthcare and NHS sector. So we've got a little bit of an overview here of some of the loggers that we've got. I did focus very much on the loggers that are used in the museum, heritage, archive and conservation sector. So I have missed out on things like our CR2, our energy logger, our voltage, etc. But anyway, here's an overview of some of the loggers that we have got, and I'll give you a little bit more insight into those as we move forward. So as I said, we're based in Chichester. We've got our own building, which we own. We have around 35 staff, around 30 full-time staff and about 5 freelancers. The majority of our loggers are manufactured in the UK, and wherever possible, we try and source locally from a group of suppliers that we've used for several years. So we try and keep everything very much based in the UK. Over the years, we've had some enormous projects that have landed into Chichester. And I just think, depending on the size that's required of loggers that are needed by various clients out there, we can operate a 24/7 manufacturing system when needed, if there is a situation where there's a lot of loggers and we need to get them in place in a quick time. We also have around 40 distributors globally. That's covering us in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and America and Canada. Go on. So I'm going to start from the right and then move over to the left. So we first started developing a radio logger back in 2010. This was primarily used as a requirement for the compost market at that time. So we developed this very robust outdoor logger that worked with several probes that would be anywhere up to 10 meters in length that were monitoring the temperature of compost. So that was our first venture into the radio market. We then went on to develop the middle one, which is our ultra USB or LAN radio logger, which was primarily used inside in a much more clean and careful environment. And that was initially rolled out into sectors like pharmaceutical, food, warehouse and logistics. Now, the museum and heritage sector have used our downloadable loggers for several years, we know. The image there is showing our View 2 logger and our Ultra 2 Temp and RH logger. And we started bringing the ultra radio logger into the museum and heritage sector a number of years ago. So that gives an overview of our current product showcase for the museum and heritage sector. Obviously, we'll be sharing these, but
You can see exactly what the accuracy is on the slide presentation there, what the range is, up to 200 meters line of sight. Obviously, that's slightly reduced when you're inside a building. And there's been questions asked about batteries. So I thought it would be useful for me to let you know that the Ultra Radio and the Plus Radio use alkaline batteries with around a 12 to 15 month shelf life. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. We have recently brought out our 4G data logger. This is used where there is a problem with on-site infrastructure, or you've got an issue with no Wi-Fi. Interestingly enough, the first big sector that took up this 4G data logger were housing associations, where they needed to be able to identify the mold elements inside all of their tenants' flats. And obviously there was no Wi-Fi. So we produced this 4G data logger on the back of that particular sector. Obviously that has now broadened out into more building and architecture. So that's one of our latest products on the market. We then move to the middle shot. We are in our final stages of producing a lux and UV data logger. This is what it will look like. And our hope is that, all being well with all our testing, this will be available Q2 2026. And after several requests from several museum and heritage sites, we have finally launched, or will be launching in Q2 of 2026, our LCD display on our temp and RH logger. This has been something that we have been frequently asked about. I would say at this point that you can see that we've got labeling and marketing on our labels there for both the radio, Ultra Radio and the Plus Radio. But if it's required, we can bespoke a label dependent on what's needed. So if you wanted to have your own logo on there or nothing, you wanted a certain type of color, we can organize that as a bespoke service to cover those particular loggers. So how does our system work? The radio loggers transmit data either via a USB or a LAN receiver. So if we have a look at the image that we've got on the right-hand side, you can see here in the middle, we have the Ethernet receiver on the gallery floor 1, and the loggers on gallery floor 2, and the Ethernet loggers on the basement are all passing up that data into the receiver, which is an Ethernet receiver. Our system does not work point to point. It works on a mesh system. So where a data logger might have an obstruction in trying to find its receiver, it will find its nearest neighbor, which will be another logger, and that logger will find its nearest neighbor and then transmit the data down to the receiver. So in this respect, you don't need repeaters. It's quite frequently that we find that when we're quoting, there's a lot less loggers required because of the way in which this mesh system works. If for any reason there is a power cut or a network failure, the loggers can continue storing data for up to 2 weeks at 5-minute intervals. And at that point, not that that would probably be an issue, one would hope after 2 weeks power would be restored, it will start overriding the oldest data. So they are always logging even if there is a failure in power. The alarms are sent out by email. Currently, we can organize an SMS system, but currently what we are offering is an email service. And if required, you can extend your number of radio or LAN loggers to this existing network. That's not a problem in increasing it as you require more loggers. So let me talk now about our cloud. This is our new Tinytag cloud or local server. Again, this will be available, we're hoping Q2 of 2026. I'm afraid the image is not so good, so I apologize for that. But if you have a look on the right-hand side, that's, if you like, your home page. On the left-hand side, you have all the loggers. We call it the tree of loggers running down. This is particularly showing the temperature and RH of a logger. On the right-hand side, on the top, it's got a little information pane which would show you several, if you have several loggers or several probes, that's where all this information will be stored. And on the bottom right-hand corner, we've got the min and max readings. Now, in a situation like this, if a client is already using some of our USB or downloadable loggers, they would be added into this system. So all of your loggers would be present here at the same time, be it downloadable or cloud loggers. Here we would have an admin person set up who would be the overriding responsibility for organising the groups and the users in those groups to be able to access the loggers and what level of access they can do with those loggers. We have tested this. We know that you can have up to 250 loggers with one receiver. That's how we've tested it. I would say at this point, if anybody does need access to a trial radio kit, we are happy to send them out. It's very basic. It's just 2 ultra radio loggers in a box. You switch them on. One person will walk from one end of the room to the other, and you will basically see how the signal works. And that's a free of charge service, and you can have that, that casing up to a month. So do let us know in the Q&A if anybody's interested in having a look at that, that trial kit. Okay. So reporting and exporting data. At the moment, we have on the right-hand corner, you can see in that drop, we've got a few generic reports there, multi-logger, alarm report, etc., daily min-max. There is something that we have been constantly asked about when we're doing the rounds, meeting all of these clients, and we will now be able to definitely offer a percentage. So on our generic form of reports will also include a weekly and monthly percentage of where the temperature and humidity has fallen out of the parameters. We can also do any custom on-demand reporting. So anything that's required, do let us know. Again, as I say, this is due for launch Q2 of 2026. And our cloud system can also be taken on as a local server requirement if people don't want to go to the cloud. It's not based on a number of users, so it's unlimited users. Our cloud costings are purely based on the number of loggers. And at the moment, what we are hoping to launch in Q2, you will need to install software on your computer, but our second release will have a web browser facility. And there's been a lot of talk about calibration, and we can offer very similar to other people that have presented on the call today. We can do it in-house. We can do on-site calibration. We work very closely with a company called MBM. So if you are already working with MBM and they are doing your on-site calibration, we would continue to use them as one of our calibration partners. There's been a bit of questions about how the loggers have worked. Our temperature sensors have a very negligible drift over time. And our radio products use digital RH sensors that do not need to be adjusted. If they're found to be out of specification, they can be reconditioned or replaced. And again, if you're working with MBM, they would be doing that service for you on site. We were asked to present a few case studies, so I thought I would choose Duff House. They have about 40 plus radio loggers and have been using those for a good 12 years, I think, 12, 14 years. I thought it was an interesting example because these are incredibly thick walls, 250-year-old walls, and our mesh system works really well in this beautiful old building. Where again, as I said, if there's any obstruction, it finds its nearest neighbour and can then use that neighbour to pass the data down. One of our other local clients that's using some of our radio loggers with probes into their display cabinets is the Fishburne Roman Palace Museum. Again, we've been working with them for around 10 years plus. And yeah, they use several of our probes into their display cabinets. So that's just another case study that I've got to share with you there. Okay, so we've been talking quite a bit about this data migration. A lot of the clients we've seen recently have been asking about this. Obviously, it depends on the format that it comes in, so we would need to know what that is. But we have done a stress test with 2 billion data points. I think you can see there. We configured a series of around 1,000 loggers that had been recording every 15 minutes. And we stress tested this, and it took seconds for the information to load up into our system. So yes, we can take any historic data. We would just need to understand the format. We would be able to import that into our cloud software or our local server, and it would sit alongside all of the current data that the system is now working with as you start working with us. There is a price directed to that, obviously, and it very much depends on the size of the historic data. We've been talking to some people, they've had 80 gigabytes of data. We've been talking to others, they've got 50. So it very much depends on the size, and we would be happy to share some costings with you based on that. The pricing overview, yeah, I found this quite tricky because obviously each customer varies. I just thought I would list the unit price of our Ultra Radio Temp and RH logger, our Lux UV logger, our Plus radio logger, and the USB receiver or LAN receiver, depending on what you require. Obviously, discounts are available based on the number of units that you require. We can offer a local server cost. And again, we would just need to know what the number of loggers are in order to work out a costing. And just to give you a high-level overview, our cloud software, we do it on a per logger per month basis. And we charge £1 per logger per month. This covers unlimited usage, 1-year agreement with a 3-year rolling contract. Okay, technical support. We have extensive online technical support with FAQs, videos and tutorials, etc. We do have a fully fledged team that operate here at Chichester that are available 5 days a week from 9 till 5. Yeah, and we've got 5 people in that team that will be able to triage whether it's first or second line support. In terms of working with a new client, we do have the ability to offer staff training if you need that for your installation and configuration of your loggers. We also can come along and install and configure your loggers if required on site. And there are costs involved in that for your first year setup. Again, it depends on the number of loggers, you know, and it depends on the client. If you have 20 loggers and 2 staff, we would be happy to do a Teams call with you, and that would be free of charge. It's when we're looking at sort of 70, 90, 150 plus loggers. If the client needs it, there would be costs attributed to staff training and installation. So, I think I've come to the end. Oh my goodness, I think I'm 1 minute short of 20 minutes, I believe.
Terry, I was going to say you have done brilliantly, and it's so interesting to see what Tinytag offers. We've had some questions which Nathan have been answering away. So just to say, Tinytag, will there be an additional charge for bespoke labels on your radio loggers? And Nathan have replied, hi, thanks for the question. There's no additional charge for bespoke labeling, which we love to hear. To Tinytag, is it only one admin person per system? What happens if the person contracted cut? How does the control of the system get transferred? And Nathan have replied, hi, thanks for the question. You can have multiple administrators if required, and there will be processes in place to pass on admin privileges when required. Apart from that, you have no other question. Hold on, here we go. No, you have no other questions. This one that we've no other questions.
Okay, I would just say, I did mean to say at the end, sorry, we do have a series of cloud demos coming up, which we're running quite frequently, once or twice a month. I did need to put that in the slide, sorry, with the next dates coming up. So I don't know how I can share that, just to let people know when our cloud demos are coming up, because we've got about 4 or 5 in the next 2-3 months.
I was going to say you can put it in the chat by all means. Otherwise, I was going to say post it happily on the IO group that's been set up. I will make sure that you are forwarded so you can join it. And it's an environmental monitoring IO group where people can post questions about environmental monitoring generally, or you can post different things like this is the webinar that will be coming up.
Okay, perfect, lovely.
Excellent.
Okay, so there are no more questions. That's great. I think everyone wants lunch.
Hold on, we've got one anonymous attendee. Will they include reporting demos?
Will what, sorry?
All we've got is, will they include reporting demos? That's all I've got in the chat.
The demonstration you just mentioned.
The demonstration you just mentioned.
Yes, we will show the reporting in that demo, yes. If that's the question, we will be able to show the reporting tool within our cloud demo.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Kerry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody for ICON. You've been amazing. It's been a really well done on a great event.
Thank you. Oh, hold on.
Indeed.
Perfect. We're going to have a summary from Megan.
So it's been an information dense and time fast morning for all of us. I'm sure your heads are spinning, as is ours. We particularly enjoyed the slides, the pictures, etc. But trying to sum it all up, what a task. I think the topics that come top of mind is continuing support from suppliers around conservation heating is an important offering and will continue to be, particularly as we move through more and more climate change. Sustainability with hardware and end of life or hardware refresh was a theme throughout and is of vital importance as we think about our heritage organizations and how we are sustaining within our world. Buildings is such an important context, and the uniqueness of each of our buildings is an important consideration for our procurement decision making. Battery life, constant consideration, and how data is preserved. I know a couple of us at the table have people who a significant part of their job is checking battery life and addressing that, whilst making sure we're not losing that data. Some new aspects, sensor extendability is as I'm describing it. So having a core of hardware that we can add additional technologies to, so plugging in lux monitors, et cetera, and so many questions about transferring data with a number of potential solutions being offered, which was great for us to hear. Ranges of communication technology, be it Wi-Fi, Ethernet, 4G, 5G, that's all things we need to take into consideration when we're working through our current set of hardware and anything we may be looking at in the future. And then that transferability and being able to incorporate new hardware into existing systems. So many of you talked about being able to work with other pieces of hardware, integrating that into what you want, which will ease us into change decisions. The different cost models, standalone hardware, buying a new car versus a used car, I believe one of the questioners phrased it, which is a really good, or renting a car versus using a car that you already owned, hardware plus subscriptions, cloud choices, standalone, etc. So it's all issues that we are trying to work through for the preservation of our collections. And I personally found it really interesting, the perspectives of organizations that have grown from within the heritage environment and needs and organizations that are coming to heritage from different sectors, and how the hardware and the software is shaped from origins and responses to clients. So that's what I've taken from the morning.
Thank you so much, Megan. I was going to say a big thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you found it informative, and thank you, and join the IO group. Bye, everyone.